Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the European Tech Show. You're here with me, Seb, and
Ronan Chambers
And
for
it has-
episode 3.
it has been a wild couple of weeks. We've had a lot of interest and uptake in the podcast so far, so we're really, really grateful for everyone tuning in, checking us out. Lots of guests who want to be on, lots of guests who have already signed up to be on in the next few weeks. So it's really, really exciting. We're really, really pleased to be here, and we have got another stacked lineup today. Ronan, who have we got on?
So today we have Eric Landau, Encord CEO, Adil Mania, founder of Anomalie Space. He's bringing SF vibes to Paris first, and then I think Europe after that. Martin Mignot, index partner. They're going to come on and talk about their new book, the index book that's been doing the rounds on LinkedIn. Will Caplan, CEO of Tano. They're building an AI influencer, essentially, an AI agent that runs influencer comms for your startup. Really, really, really cool space. And then Reuben Steenkamp, founder of Briefcase. This is an AI bookkeeping tool. They're just tearing it up in the CFO stack world. So pretty pumped about that. But Seb, you mentioned our launch. Let's talk about our launch. We both did a LinkedIn post. I thought mine was going to be a banger. It was instead a clanger. It did not bang.
LinkedIn hates self-promotional stuff. Absolutely crucifying us at the moment.
That was a real shame. I put it in this group chat that I'm in after. I was like, does anyone know why my distribution's getting murked? No, it's like you tagged like 1 million people and it's probably just that. So
yeah,
learnings.
But yeah, we've had like amazing conversations with lots of people who want to come on. We're going to try and base our guest list around trying to get one top VC in Europe on to talk about fundraising, the European ecosystem, what it's like to be raising, to be investing at the moment. We want to get in 3 or 4 founders a week of some of the most exciting European startups. And then we're also looking at people on the ground who are real community builders. So Adil is an amazing example of that. French operator now building his own space for young, ambitious builders in Paris. And as you say, trying to bring that San Francisco energy to Paris. So yeah, we're looking for community builders, founders, investors, people who can really talk about what's going on in Europe and bring their own unique perspective.
Absolutely. And speaking of, we can just talk about some of the topics that we're hoping to discuss today as well. So Robin Hood the other day released this sort of tokenized assets thing. It's basically going to allow retail investors to invest in, will own some of private companies that aren't listed. So SpaceX and OpenAI were the first 2 that they brought up. I don't know if you saw, did you see the launch video that they put on Twitter? Good. Mate, this thing was like, first of all, yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
And like it looked like a mix of the Hunger Games, like, you know, the elite level people in the Hunger Games kind of, you know, they sit in the richest districts, right? And also like a Black Mirror mix of like clean minimalism. Everyone's in amazing, because it was in like Cannes, like in France, like for the event. The launch video was insane. It was so clean. They even get like a blackboard up and they're kind of like tooling through the whole thing and explaining it. The founder and CEO of Robin Hood just breaks it down amazing. Vladimir Tenev. But I guess like just breaking it down what they're doing here. This is really cool. Like this is really, really exciting. And I'm not sure if they're the first to do it. I think there's been a lot of talk in the space about this previously, but they're going to bring like 200 plus US stocks and ETFs tokenized for EU customers. So this has only been launched in Europe.
Yeah.
So people in the US were pretty pissed on
and only the EU, right? Not in the UK.
Yeah. So UK can't get in. I was, downloading the Robin Hood app. I was trying to chuck in 20 quid just to see,
just take the experience.
Take a pop.
Can't do it.
Couldn't do it.
It's really interesting because it's like one of the only examples where it's launched in the EU because there's less regulation.
So I was looking at that and I was just like finally, there's a win there. People in the US were pretty pissed on Twitter. They were raving about it, but it looks really cool. Quote there from Vladimir: "Tokenization is going to open the door to a massive trading revolution. Our latest offerings lay the groundwork for crypto to become the backbone of global financial systems." The Robinhood stock absolutely mooned on the announcement. I'm not sure what it's at now, but it was something like 20% in a day.
Wow.
Absolutely mooning. I saw a hilarious tweet as well that was basically like, are retail investors ready for the risks associated with owning these private companies? I'm just like, dude, these guys were aping hundreds of thousands into GameStop.
Yeah.
Like this is
not the risk.
Bread and butter.
Yeah.
Like these guys, they're going to be in the trenches, just launching all their cash into it.
But also, you think, like crowdfunding is open to retail investors.
Yeah, I mean, like if there's going to be a risk on, like type of investor,
it's not. Yeah,
it's going to be.
If like OpenAI and SpaceX feels like a safer bet than chucking $5,000 into some like
fart coin.
Yeah,
which you can now buy a house with apparently.
But it's amazing because SpaceX and OpenAI are two of the most in-demand private stocks available. But there's a long list of like big tech companies that are so hot on the secondary market. And in Europe, the biggest one is Revolut.
Oh wow!
And it'd be really interesting.
Your
I love
brainchild.
Revolut. Yeah, I love Revolut, man. But it'd be amazing to see if they start introducing European stocks because it's a European audience. And if we see the first case, you would imagine would be Revolut. But Revolut is super controlling about their stock. So it's interesting to see how this will tie back to share price, valuation, what these sort of like tokenized assets are trading at, and how you can tie that back to their valuation. Because a lot of private companies are really, really, controlling about what their valuation is.
Yeah. Would you buy tokenized OpenAI shares?
100%. Yeah,
I'm just kind of
not investment advice, but
yeah, we should probably stress that.
But I think like you were trying to do like just try it for fun, just to see what the process like experiences like. Well,
the Robinhood app was clean. I've never been on that. I use 212 for my app, but like. Yeah, that thing was super clean. They've obviously put like a lot of cash into UI, UX, and whatever.
And I think they only launched in the UK, I think, fairly recently. But I think they're trying to gain a bigger market share across Europe. And I think this is like a really cool way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because they're competing with people like Revolut, who do a lot of stock trading. They're competing with, like in the UK, free trade. This is like, an immediate way to try and gain market share because it's a really cool product. Yeah,
it's super cool. And I love how they've rolled it out. I mean, it's literally just capturing like a huge audience in Europe. They've kind of time-stamped it as well. It's like you have, I think it's till July 7th to essentially either redeem tokens that have been distributed or have the right to purchase the tokens, I believe. So after that window, I think they're closing it off. Because I think as we were saying earlier, I think it's like a 1.5 million total allocation because this is not like an alpha or a beta rollout because they've probably put a lot of thought into this, but they've time-stamped it. It's just going to create a lot of FOMO. I mean, it worked on me instantly.
Instant download of the app. Yeah,
I did. It was like within seconds. I think I put it in our chat like, oh my god, and then I was like also downloading the app, putting 20 quid in.
Yeah.
But
another big bit of news is that Lovable. Interesting that like. The first episode we recorded 2 weeks ago, we talked about it being valued at 1.5 billion and how Harry Stebbings was saying it's like sort of fake news. And saying also how it was cheap. And fair enough, they have raised it. I think it's going to be 1.8 billion. But there was obviously some element of truth in there because they were raising at a big valuation. I don't think they've confirmed it yet, but they're looking at a 1.8 billion valuation led by Excel.
20 VC. It is 1.8?
1.8, yeah. Oh. But I think, that could still change because this isn't like the official announcement, official release.
Yeah.
But Excel are leading it with like participation from Creandum, who led their 15 million round in February, and 20 VC are still getting involved as well.
Yeah. Man, those guys are just on a tear.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget they launched their product at the end of last year. It was the end of last year that they actually released their product.
I'm not sure if we spoke about this in the first ep, but I remember seeing like GPT Engineer, which is Lovable in its earliest days, and like I think one of their growth leads put up like a really cool post about like how when they were competing with Bolt early on, they thought that they had a superior product, but they just couldn't crack distribution. Bolt was smashing the like the short form content.
Yeah.
So this growth engineer was just like, let's just sink loads of cash into short form. We have a better product. We know people will like it. And now I think that the scale has tipped a little bit, basically.
Yeah, and they're absolutely killing it. 75 million ARR. What is that as a valuation? As a multiple? What, 25x, 30x?
Don't make me do maths in public.
Yeah. It's still there's probably 25, maybe under 25, but It's not crazy. Like a lot of these AI companies are raising on 50x, 100x.
I mean, yeah. I mean, those seed round. I mean, that's another thing we can talk about. Talk about H companies shortly, but I think we might have Adil coming in. Let me just ping him. But while waiting, H company is another one we're going to discuss today. Super quick, 220 mil seed like a year ago. Sifted has been like done an amazing job, to be fair, at covering everything that's going on there, and we've got like a really cool deep dive to discuss. It comes back to those rounds. Like, these big rounds are amazing when you actually have traction, you actually have something to show for it. Lovable is a great example of that. They're doing incredibly well, and but these like 220 million seed round.
Yeah, and today or yesterday there was another one, Genesis AI, which is part of
the big, it's one of the biggest seeds.
$105 million seed round to build a foundational model for powering robots. It's
insane. It's insane. That's what people are calling like suicide rounds, right? Like, how could you just trapped?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna ping Adil.
I think he's here.
Is it him?
Oh, yes. Now it's working. Perfect.
Is that better?
Amazing.
Yeah, still have a little bit of echo, but no worries.
we can
do with that. No problem.
Good. We were just saying we can see. Is it Steve Jobs behind you on your wall?
Exactly. The legendary Steve Jobs.
Very cool. Very cool. I can't see the other one.
It's Gareth Bale.
Gareth Bale. Insane.
Big inspiration.
Two of the greats.
Two of the greats, yeah.
Two of the absolute greats up there.
Adil, thank you for joining us. It's an absolute privilege to have you. Like I've been following you on LinkedIn. Absolutely love what you're building. Why don't you just give us a quick intro to yourself, Anomalie Space?
Yes. One, thank you for hosting me. Like, it's a big pleasure also. And then about Anomalie Space. So it's basically our goal is to bring like SF vibes to Europe and to level up the ambition. And our dream is to build something like Google X. I don't know if you've heard about it or not. It's like their moonshot factory. And that's how Waymo started. We want to bring the same thing in Europe right now. And how to make that possible, it starts with culture, with the ambition, and with resources. And if we unlock all that to founders, they will work on such crazy ideas, and we would love to make that happen. For me, like what annoys me the most is like when I see Europe and I see that there is, for example, La Tour Eiffel, there is the bridges in London, there is all the Viking ships in Sweden and Norway, there is internet started in CERN, I think it's in Switzerland. And I'm like, what happened in between? Why did we lost all this kind of ambition and making big things happen? And we still have talent. We still have the same people, just something is wrong. So I'm like, okay, let's solve that. And it starts by the culture, the ambition behind. And this is like what we're trying to solve with Anomalie. And to make it simple, so what's Anomalie exactly? It's two things. The first one is a community of many people who want to get into that culture and want to show support every week. And at the same time, we're building an accelerator. And this time it's for people who want to accelerate, to go further. And we offer them attention. I think this is what founders needs the most, like just someone who will take care of you, and we take care of founders. That's our goal with the accelerator.
Amazing. You've been building
That's
this.
basically the idea.
So it's early on, right? You're a few months in.
Exactly. Like we started 1 month ago, so it's still so early. We are still doing so many new things. Like it's so early, it's chaotic for now, but the more time we go, the more we'll be more organized.
And how's it going? How's the launch? How's the first month been?
It's extremely hard and extremely fun. So it's cool.
Yeah, nice, man. No, it's amazing. We've seen that you post a lot about EUAC.
Yes.
And we actually, when we first came up with this idea, we actually wanted to call the show EUAC Live. That was our first. I
think we had. Did we make a Twitter account or no?
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, because that was the kind of the movement that we want to jump onto. But like, as someone who's building in that space, what does EUAC mean to you?
Good question. For me, it means a lot. I feel like, I mean, if we take it from a physical way of seeing stuff, like physics. You have like three states of movement. You have like the static the way, you have the walking, and you have the running. And I feel like Europe has been static for a long time, or just walking. And from accelerate, it means like you will run. And this is what the US are doing, China are doing, and many other countries, by the way, who are less marketable for now. And I feel like we should run also. Otherwise, we're going to be outrun by the others. And we should solve that. So for me, like that's, again, like it's a matter and this question of speed.
Yeah.
Speed of execution, speeds of how people, like everything, like what is the main speed of the progress.
And I think we are seeing that speed increase, especially in places like Paris and Stockholm. The number and the quality of the companies that are coming out of places like Paris and Stockholm is insane. You know, it's not just like Mistral, Photo Room, but there's so many coming out now. Like, what's it like on the ground in Paris? Are you feeling a difference in the ambition and the speed?
To be honest, like I've been into the Parisian space for maybe 5-6 years. So I'm used to this kind of speed. It's not new. Like we've had many big companies, even at time, like BlaBlaCar, Back Market, Conto, and many other cool companies. And like we've had a French Tech since I think 2013 or even before. So it's not something like new, same as Station F and all those cool initiatives we already had. So for me, like Paris is not new. What Paris is missing now, I think, is like the second stage of, okay, we should go even faster than what we've started doing. And I'm so happy when I see like what's happening in Stockholm and even like in other cool spaces. I've seen some cool initiatives in Lithuania, in Romania, and even like in Spain, in Italy, in like I've been to Netherlands like last week, and I've seen the ambition and that they're trying to push also. So I feel like something is starting right now, and it's cool.
On that, just to jump in. So you met the Parisian space. I saw a clip, and there's a rumor circulating here in the studio that you and President Macron are working together. I saw, I think it was a clip, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, came up with you and him chatting about anomaly space, and Macron saying, "We will do what we can to help you." Now, I have a few questions on this. First one is that a deep fake? The second one is, I'd love to talk to you about Macron's involvement in the tech space in Europe on a more serious note, because I used to work at Pigment, and he is, I think, one of the most vocal sort of like tech enthusiasts that I've ever seen. It's in like a government position. So yeah, talk to me about that meeting and then his involvement generally in the ecosystem in Paris and France.
Okay, so first thing, that's not a deepfake. I think I will share the first part of the video where I pitched to him like what anomaly space is all about, and we talk like for maybe 1 minute before he says all that in English. And I will share that like maybe this week, so people can be like, okay, so it's not a deepfake. Secondly, about President Macron, like again, like as I said, like I've been into the space for a long time, and I've seen him been involved in so many like initiatives. Again, like Station F, La French Tech, France Digital, and many other cool initiatives. And he was always like behind that. And I feel like it's important because you cannot like win without some political help. Otherwise, you are dead. Yeah. And for me, like it's cool that we have that. For me, it's not enough. We should even push for further. And like last week, I've met Andreas Klinger from EU Inc. And he's like, yeah, it's so slow. We should go even faster. We should have like one unified way of creating companies around all Europe, which will help so many people. Like, again, like it's a question of speed. And we can be more quick in the way we execute. Why speed matters for me? Because the more we are quick, the more we learn quick, the more we, again, execute fast, and the more we just advance even faster. Like progress is important. If you don't have enough progress, you will die like ancient civilizations. Like we've had Egyptians at the moment, we've had like Mayas, we've had like all those civilizations. For me, like at a moment, and even the history like tell us this, like the more you go from the progress to the static states, the more you just are dying slowly until you are dead at the moment. So for me, like we should fight that back. And how? It's again by bringing everyone to the same space and to the same vision, which again starts by the founders, the funders, and all the investors, or people that fund all this, and the political power, because you cannot like do it by one or another, and you need three of them. Otherwise, it's not possible. And for Macron, so I was happy to meet him during Vivatech, and we know each other from the past. Like we've already spoke to each other sometimes before at Vivatech or in other events. And so it was a time for me to pitch him Anomaly. And he was so happy to see such things happening. And I will keep you in touch if you have any help for him. For now, it's not the case. Yeah. But if we have any help, I will keep you in touch. No worries.
That's insane. And like, I've seen firsthand like the power that he can have for the ecosystem, right? So when I was at Pigment, I think, I can't remember if it was after our Series C or our Series D, but he put a LinkedIn post out congratulating us and tagging us. It's like we've got the French like French president like putting like outbound for the company on his own LinkedIn. Like our inbound channel was absolutely just booming. It was insane because Macron is like CTAing our B2B SaaS.
That's amazing. Come on, Keir Starmer, like that's what we need. Like.
It was mental. Like I've never seen anything like it. And obviously, that's like gets like 3,000, 4,000 likes. Like everyone sees it. You can use it in your outbound motion. Like any French company that sees it is jumping on
if you've got the French president talking about your company, it's just like immediate credentials.
It's just like ultimate clout.
Yeah,
that was mad. Another sort of celebrity interaction you had. Is it true that you asked Elon Musk for a hug? Where do you meet all these people?
You've done your research well.
I want to go to the events that you're going to.
Like, what? That's insane. Yeah,
so,
what happened with that?
It's true, and it was at Vivatech, like 2023, I think. And the thing that, so to give you a little bit more context, so I've been doing content before around startups, tech in Europe and in France in general at time. And I was like, okay, I was in that like big space where they brought Elon Musk, and I was like, what's the craziest content we can make around that? And then I remembered, I think there is this guy who is right now, I think in the EU Commission, by the way, Phidias, maybe. And he asked Musk for a hug before. And I was like, okay, let's make that. And then I went asking for this. It didn't work out at all. But it was funny to make. So I was like, okay, why not? But it's not my craziest move. I've done some craziest stuff before. I think like life is all about this, like just make crazy stuff for me.
Well, we have to ask.
Yeah, to tell us, what else have you done?
What's the craziest thing? Or is that not PG for the podcast?
Yeah. It is one of the coolest contents I've made ever. What happens usually is that when you are trying to hire an intern or like a junior level guy, you always ask, like the HR people always ask the same questions, like give me one quality, one default of you, give me like where do you see yourself in 5 years, all those basic stupid questions. Sorry, but for me, like they are useless in a way, and they're annoying. And like I've done so many interviews before, and I was so annoyed by that. So I was like, okay, maybe I can take my revenge at the moment. So what I've done is I went to do a street interview with many founders inside Vivatech, like maybe 3 years ago. And I asked them those kind of questions, like if I was hiring CEOs. And it was so fun because they couldn't answer such simple questions because they aren't like used to that. Like they're like, why you are asking me like my professional project or like what I see myself in 5 years or something like this? Like that's weird. And I had those crazy reactions I was looking for. And for me, like, it was one of the funniest things I've done. What's other? I rode a bike on La Seine, so it's on water, and it was so fun to do also. So it was so hard. I think I published the video on Instagram. It went viral. I think it's nearly 1 million views, something like this.
Wow.
I just was like me struggling to get the bike on the water, but it's kind of funny. Just try that. If you can try that, try that. Like it's crazy.
That's insane.
All right, next time we're in Paris, we're going to be riding down.
Yeah, those are some big numbers as well. We're much better than our LinkedIn posts. They got like 80 likes. a million impressions. You're gonna have to show.
No,
how
but
it's done.
you should start with something, and then virality comes when you do much stuff. Like you cannot just like it happens. You can have one post and it works if it's Macron post, and if it's not the case, it's kind of complicated, but it's possible. Like for me, there is many ways to do it.
Insane. I think we a slight tangent there, but I'd love to come back to Anomaly Space briefly and just understand like what's some of the coolest stuff that's come out of that. Like I know you've just got, you've got like cracked builders. I mean, like, yeah, I see like on some of the videos I've seen online, like people are just locked in building together, both in person and also it's not just in person, it's online as well, right? You have like Discord, you have it's open to loads of countries in Europe. What's some of the coolest projects? I think I saw like a 15-year-old had like vibe coded something recently.
Yeah, so like we have a 15-year-old guy working on a game, so that's cool. We have a guy who is working on photo room, but for videos. So like he started by a video background remover, and this works. It's already like online.
Really cool.
We have some people working on a competitor to Cursor, and they started by rethinking how the idea should work based on AI this time. So they're like rethinking the whole experience. We have someone who is working on crazy projects. It's when you go on the streets, you have in retail, like you have many screens with ads, and he created a system where he analyzed where people see inside the screen. So we optimize the attention of people on the ads, on the like physical ads. So
wow,
same,
really
like
cool.
it's already working, and there are some clients he's scaling right now. We have some people working on a competitor to a Level Labs, so on the model voice part. And so yeah, we have some crazy projects. It's still the beginning, so I think we again like we're so early right now. But I think the more we go, the more we're gonna have some more crazy projects. The problem that we have right now is like the level of ambition, and we are feeling that many founders don't think that they can do more than what they're already doing. And this is why we don't have big stuff right now, just because like they need confidence. They need someone who will be like, oh, you can make more. And this is what we are trying to push.
And is that what you're trying to do? Is trying to inspire them to think bigger, build bigger?
Exactly.
Because that's hard.
Like for example, if I take the example of the guys who are working on like the new Cursor, at the beginning, like they just made an extension to help developers do automatic debugging. And I was like, that's like cool, but that's not enough. Like, guys, you can do something way bigger. Like, why not? And then they pivoted. And they were like, hey, let's start by making a Cursor competitor. Yeah, it feels crazy. They are 2.5 for now. I think they are recruiting right now their first employee. And I'm pretty confident they can make it. Like, just a question of, again, confidence and just making founders believe that they can make more than what they think.
No, that's amazing.
I feel like ambition is contagious in a way. We don't have that much ambition in Europe in general. Yeah. And I would love to bring that. That's why, again, Anomalie for me, like, that's the thing that we can bring the most is the culture and the ambition behind. And we feel like it's already working. We're still early for now. So would love to see what will happen in the next years. And if the next Waymo comes out of us, we are happy.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And can I ask, like, what role are you trying to play? Are you trying to help them fundraise afterwards? Are you trying to, is your vision to kind of build like a YC demo day at some point? How are you going to help those companies take it to the next level?
Yeah. As I said, like for me, the most important thing that founders needs at the moment is someone who will take care of them in a way. And so it's like attention. This is like the YC model. Like you have a partner and you know that every time you have a problem, you can go see the partner and the partner will help you. We are trying to offer the same right now. So that's for me already valuable. And then for me, when you are a partner, you should do two things. One, if you can help immediately, do it. If you cannot, just do like an intro to someone else.
Yeah.
And so we can open a big network of people who can help them, or like ask on LinkedIn. We've started doing this and it's working in a way. So I think we're going to push that even further. Like, again, like just being like, every time you have a problem, you have like the anomaly space partner for you, and he can help you to get further. That's for the acceleration part. For the community part, we've seen that, and it's working also. It's more like peer-to-peer. And people are already helping people. Like, even like this morning, there is this someone inside the community who is working on a software for wine producers. and she was asking like, do someone knows some people in Italy, because I'm going to Italy and I would like to meet with some wine producers. And a girl replied. She was like, I know this guy. You can go talk to him. And so it's like peer-to-peer, and it works. That's for me like the magic of the community. The magic of the accelerator is different. It's more like, okay, you have a partner that will help you like get even further, which is kind of different.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Look, we're running out of time. Before you go,
Yes.
we want to ask one last question. What cool French founders do you think we should be getting on ETS?
Operators, VCs also.
Yeah.
We want some cool people from France to tell us how great it is over there.
Someone I can help you with, or just like the coolest guy you can have?
The coolest guy we could have. Who should be like our number one French guest that we need to be aiming to get on in the next few months?
Good question. For me, I think if you can bring Xavier Niel, that's a big win. He's crazy and cool.
Yeah.
Who is that?
And like he was the guy behind Free, behind Station F, behind all that.
Oh, damn.
So
That would be insane, actually.
Let's do it.
Station F founder.
yeah.
All right, we'll start our outbound campaign now.
Good place to start. Yeah, we'll clip this, send it to him in an email.
we know each other, but he didn't, like when I was doing podcasts at the time, he didn't want to join me. So I was like, okay, so bad. But other than that, is there any cool, crazy founders I know? Like this? No. Maybe Thibaut. Thibaut is here, the guy behind eFounders, Hexa.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool dude.
Amazing.
What he's doing is good.
Let's do it. Let's get him on.
We can get outbounding.
Look, Adil, thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to have you new. Let's stay in touch.
And one last thing.
Yeah.
For the founders, if you can bring Barbara Belvici, she's working on something called Interstellar Labs.
Nice.
That's crazy.
We'll put that down as well.
Okay, let's definitely do it.
That's 3. We got 3 amazing guests there.
Nice. All right. We'll definitely reach out to them.
Absolutely. Adil, thank you so
All right,
much.
Adil, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you a lot.
We'll be in touch and we'll be
Good
following
luck.
what you're building.
Go well.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Same. Yes. See you.
See you.
Amazing.
Cool guy, man.
That's awesome. It's cool to get a look into what's going on the ground in Paris. Our lovely friends over there.
Just getting the index books out. Martin's on next.
Oh, wow. You've got the physical copy right there.
Yeah, I got both.
Is this our first? Oh, there were 2.
Well, this is the first book that they wrote was, I don't know if it's their first one, but one of the more recent ones was Scaling Through Chaos, the Founder's Guide to Building and Leading Teams from 0 to 1,000. So
Show that up to the camera there for show.
It's all about scaling. I haven't read this one.
Wait, let me get the other one. Is this the old one?
This is the new one.
Is this the new one?
So this is all about winning in the US. The Founder's Guide to Building a Global Company from Europe. Martin played a big role in putting the book together. My understanding is that he led some of the expansion from Index into New York. So Index Ventures is like one of the only, if not the only European VC firm to have its roots in, I think, Europe and Israel, but then to successfully launch and expand into the US. I mean, Index Ventures is probably the preeminent European VC. And Martin's got an amazing track record of picking winners.
Wow. Just the shout outs on the back. Adyen, Spotify, Pigment, Wave, Index, Supercell.
Yeah, I mean, that book is actually insane. I read it. They sent it to me last week. That every single example has got case studies from the biggest European companies. Like the reach that Index Ventures gets means that they can pull this book together, and it is like insane.
The quality is so nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice book.
It's like really nice design.
But yeah, I mean, Martin has led some amazing investments. I think he led investments at Deliveroo, Pistonio, Trainline. I think he's led investments at over 6 or 7 unicorns. So he is like a proper VC beast.
A seasoned vet.
A seasoned vet of European venture. And I think he's now based in New York. And I think a lot of what he does is help European companies break into the US.
Well, mate, these are like our first props, I guess you could say, of the show. Should we position them nicely on the for when they join,
Martin?
maybe?
How are we going to get them right?
Wait, can we move?
Well, should we just like pretend to be reading them as he joins? oh, hey Martin. Hey, sorry.
Didn't see that.
Oh, perfect. I didn't see that.
Oh, you're coming. Yeah, no. We were just doing some reading on the side.
Just in between guests, just catching up.
We were just learning how to win in the US, and how to scale through chaos. Let's put them there. Maybe they can see on the laptop if that picks up. Can we
Yeah,
see
we'll bring it into the
I
screen.
know you can. If you look at
oh yeah, looks good actually.
camera 2.
We'll try and get that. We'll do some cool camera
Yeah.
angles.
That's juicy. Very nice. Well, that's gonna be exciting. Going back to our deep dives quickly. Where were we? We were talking about Lovable. I'm really excited about a guest later on. Will Caplan actually is going to come on. He's the founder of Tano, doing this sort of like influencer, like agent, like influencer outreach agent. It basically just like it sources deals and closes them for you for your like influencer outbound motions. They've got customers like Lovable and Bolt. So we're going to get like a first-hand info from him on like what does it look like working with Lovable. And so he's obviously gone like super into their like growth strategies, their short form content strategies. So yeah, absolutely pumped for that. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've spoken to so many people about Tano without having spoken to the founders themselves.
Oh really?
I don't know how, but they've managed to kind of
yeah
make themselves really well known in the ecosystem. Like
yeah.
I think, you know, they're in the Balderton offices at the moment, I think.
Yeah, they were on Launchpad.
Yeah.
Which is also what apparently Reuben went through as well.
Oh,
so
really
I think
interesting.
Launchpad is just like you can get support from Balderton, you get to use their offices, which is like the main thing, is they're really cool offices in King's Cross. And you know, you're just around the team asking them for help. They're pretty hands-on.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think Tano went through Launchpad / are still in it. Reuben at Briefcase apparently went through it. I mean, Savesh, one of the I think he's now a principal actually, recently promoted. Just pinged me yesterday and let me know. Oh, we have our guest.
all right. Thank you very much for joining us, Martin. We appreciate it. Thank you for your patience while we had some technical difficulties. But it is amazing to have you on the show. As you can see, your team sent us both your books, specifically
Front and center, right in the middle.
The Index Ventures Founder's Guide to Building a Global Company from Europe, which is what we want to talk to you about. We spent the last week reading it and going deep. And so the first question we want to ask is, why this book? Why now?
Yeah, well, first of all, maybe, talking a little bit about the context of the book. So, Index Press, what is it? Who is it for? So it's very much for entrepreneurs. And in this particular book's case, it's very much for entrepreneurs who are thinking about going global and going in the US in particular, or already in the process of going there, or just landed there and just want to make sure they don't make mistakes. All the resources in Index Press follow the same playbook, which is that we mix some qualitative elements. So we in this case, we've interviewed more than 40 top CEOs and operators, Daniel Ek from Spotify and Ilka Paninen from Supercell and Nick from Revolut and so on. And we always mix it with quantitative elements. So in this case, we analyzed 500 startups and looked at their expansion to the US and when they would do that. And the goal with that is very much to share the learnings from this previous generation of companies that have most of them successfully enter the US market and become truly global, and making sure that all the learnings can be shared with the next generation so that they can go faster and go bigger. And outside of the practicalities that comes with this book, there's also just the message of we found that European startups are becoming global and have a transatlantic presence earlier in the journey. And we want to keep on encouraging that and making sure more and more entrepreneurs have the tools to do it and increase their level of ambition.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key stat from the book is that 64% of startups are now expanding at seed or pre-seed stage to the US versus 33% 5 years ago. That's like a massive jump. What do you think? What's driving that? And I know you go into it into the book, but give us your overview of why that's happening.
I think the the piece about having the knowledge and having role models, I think is a really important one. I think there are now quite a few companies that have done it successfully, and that show to people that they can do it. It's getting easier to set up a US subsidiary. It's getting easier, obviously, to hire people remotely. It's getting easier to sell to the US market as well, and from a distance. So I think the infrastructure and the mindset have changed and have made that possible. Hopefully, we hope it continues and it gets even higher. I think there is a unique opportunity in this moment for European companies to build in Europe. There is a massive cost and quality advantage at the moment, and to sell in the US as a winning formula.
And we hear that a lot from founders that we speak to. It's build in Europe, sell to the US. The US market is it's the biggest market in the world. You've got to succeed there.
The software market in the US is twice the size of actually slightly more than twice the size of the European market. But not only that, the velocity and the ease of buying from US buyer is a lot faster. So if you compound the two things, where it's a lot larger, plus the buyers are a lot more willing to take risk and buy things because they see technology and they see new tools as a potential competitive edge versus something that is risky and may challenge or challenge the operations, for example. Those two things together mean you can get traction, more traction, much faster typically with US customers, both on the consumer side, but especially on the enterprise side.
And that sort of seems to mirror what we hear a lot of about fundraising as well. That raising in Europe versus raising in the US, it can be much, much quicker, and decisions are made much quicker. One of the things I want to talk about is.
But I think what's interesting in the what's interesting in the survey, when we ask people the reason why they expand to the US, the first reason by far is customer. It's revenue. It's more than 3/4 of them say that customer attraction is the reason why they expand to the US, and capital comes second, but it's a distant second. And so I think that's also quite a takeaway. You can raise significant amount of capital in Europe, both with European investors and US-based investors who have a presence in Europe. And yes, it is true that the speed of processes can be slightly faster in the US, but typically it's not the main reason why folks would expand to the US market.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I remember reading that the fifth largest reason was access to capital markets, that it's exiting and sort of going public and getting that kind of late stage capital is the fifth reason, but it's grown a lot. I'm curious, do you think that reason is going to grow significantly? Because I know that from the UK, we see companies like Monzo or Oak North Bank, which are predominantly almost entirely UK or European focused, that are IPO ready, and now they're looking to expand in the US. And I always think, a lot of these companies have spoken about gearing up for a US IPO, and it almost feels like the US expansion is part of that strategy to IPOing in the US. That if you want to IPO in the US, you have to have a brand and traction in the US to invest those types of investors. Do you see that trend continuing? Do you think for late stage companies that expanding to the US is a great way of being able to IPO there a year or two down the line?
I don't think that's necessary. There are plenty of counterexamples. You have, a lot of Chinese companies that are listed in the US that don't have a US presence. You have, if you look at Nubank, for example, in the fintech, you mentioned Monzo. You can compare with Nubank, which is a Brazil and, Mexico only business that is listed in the US and has done, pretty well, actually. And so I don't think you have to have a US presence. It helps to get included in some indexes. So there are some benefits of having a US presence and a significant US presence when you're listed in the US, but it's not a prerequisite. I think the listing side for me is, companies will want options, and they will look for what's best for them. And if they think they can get better coverage, more liquidity, more depth, and as a result, better pricing and better price discovery in the US, either on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, then that's where they will go. And I think, if I were a European exchange or a regulator or government that wants to promote their exchange, you have to, it's not good enough. You can't say, companies have to list locally. I don't think that's realistic. You have to think, it's a global market, it's a global competition, and you have to make sure and think through, okay, what are all the reasons why we are not as competitive as potentially some of the US markets, and what can we do to change that?
I think what we're hearing, is that what it sounds like, if you look at the whole funnel from pre-seed and seed all the way to IPO, a lot of the conversations that we've been having are very, very cultural focused, like risk appetite, how quick we can move. Do we have, even speaking to Adil, one of our earlier guests today, do we have the SF vibes here in Europe? But it sounds like you guys have taken a much more systematic, factual approach to this process. What do you have to say to the people that are saying, we just need to increase the vibes here in Europe. We need to push this cultural change. Do you think that holds weight, or?
Look, I think you can build fantastic businesses from anywhere in the world, pretty much, and certainly, in Europe and certainly in London. You mentioned Monzo, which is a great business. We've obviously been involved with Revolut from the early days. That's a fantastic business. That's a better business than any business in the same category, pretty much anywhere in the world, and certainly in the US. So you have those counterfactual examples that mean that they're just the illustration that you can. I think our approach is more to say, and Revolut is a good example of that you shouldn't tie yourself to one territory from the get-go and stay too long and locked up in that one place. And I think there is a bit of what I call the mid-sized country trap in Europe, where if you're in the UK or if you're in France or Germany or Spain or Italy, you feel like you have a large enough domestic market to get started and get some traction. And so you start there and you build for that market and you build a team for that market and so on. And then, you wait until you feel like you're ready. You have, 5-10 million in revenue, 50 employees and so on. And it's okay, now I'm going to start sequentially opening a new market. And then the next one will be Germany or will be UK or whatever. And that's almost like starting a new company, because you have to start hiring local people who speak the language, who understand the market. You have to localize the business. And then you do those, so it's going to take you another, 2 or 3 or 4 years. And then by the time you've done 2 markets, it's been you've been 8 to 10 years in. It's okay, now I'm going to go to the US. I'm going to go to the third market. And again, you have to restart. But by the time it's too late, there is a local competitor, certainly, or multiple ones. And every new market gets harder and harder. And every time, so the more you grow, the harder it becomes. And you compare that with folks like Revolut, that started with a global approach from day one. That's what we, call born global versus become global. And they architected their team, their product, their go-to-market as a global entity. Started with the UK and continental Europe at first, but then also expanding rapidly to other markets. Which means that every new country, what they have to do is, obviously respect the local regulation and offer the product in a way that is that works with that regulation. But they also took advantage of the European financial passport system to expand very rapidly, across Europe. And so every new product, every new geo is not like starting a new company. It's just adding, like turning on a button almost. It's not as simple as that, but that's in a sense, that's what it is, which means that they've been able to kind of go very broad and then invest in the markets where they have the best traction and to build a truly global business. And then it means the bigger they get, the easier it gets, because they can reinvest very easily the profits they make in some of the mature markets into some of the new markets. And then that flywheel kind of keeps accelerating and keep going. And then they have a very, very deep market, which means it's easier to raise capital because, people say, there's still a long way to go. And so, you see how that gets easier versus if you go sequentially, things get harder. And I think that's the mistake that some, European founders tend to make at times. And I think that there are some verticals where it makes sense, but in general, I think, think global, born global is a superior model.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and the best thing about the book is how many of those examples that you go deep into throughout it. Every example, every archetype. There's a great example from one of the leading European founders. One of the things we also wanted to talk about was that Index Ventures is probably one of the, if not the only European VC to successfully expand first into San Francisco and then into New York, which I know you had a big role in. Why do you think Index as a VC was able to so successfully expand into the US when so many others haven't been able to?
I think, what we're hearing, is that the vibes are very, very cultural focused. Like, we need to increase the vibes here in Europe. We need to push this cultural change. Do you think that holds weight, or?
Yeah, absolutely. The best thing about the book is how many of those examples that you go deep into throughout it. Every example, every archetype. There's a great example from one of the leading European founders. One of the things we also wanted to talk about was that Index Ventures is probably one of the, if not the only European VC to successfully expand first into San Francisco and then into New York, which I know you had a big role in. Why do you think Index as a VC was able to so successfully expand into the US when so many others haven't been able to?
Well, I think the first thing is, again, as to what we just discussed, is cultural is it's usually the biggest factor. The founders of Index were educated in the US, had worked in the US on the West Coast, and actually the ethos of Index was very much that great entrepreneurs could come from anywhere, and that the valley-based VCs were kind of missing an incredible opportunity by being so focused on Sand Hill Road and expecting people to come and show up at their door. The ethos was, starting in Europe, there's great talent, there are great entrepreneurs, there's great infrastructure, and so there are going to be amazing opportunities. And so we started in Europe and started making deals, anywhere in Europe and meeting entrepreneurs anywhere. And our first successful deals actually were not in in those mid-sized countries. They were in the Nordics and then in the Baltics. So, Skype and King and MySQL, they all came from the same region, which didn't have this mid-sized country trap because their domestic markets were so small that they had to be global from day one. And that was a huge advantage. And so that's how we got started. That's how we, really found our niche and had a difference. But we never limited ourselves to Europe. Even when we didn't have a presence in the US, we were still doing deals in the US, both on the West Coast and in New York. And even before opening an office in New York, you look at our investments there. They include Datadog, Squarespace, Etsy, Cockroach, JustWorks. I mean, so really great list of amazing companies without having a local presence, because we always felt that great entrepreneurs could come from anywhere. And then the second aspect is that when we decided to open an office was typically when we already had kind of a critical mass of investments, of network on the ground. And we did it in a very deliberate way. So we would always send 2 senior people, not 1, but 2, to really have a critical mass and not have a lone wolf going, on their own. Sometimes bringing some other team members with them, in the early days to, hit the ground running very quickly, have enough people who are very familiar with the Index culture, the Index history, Index way of doing business, and also keeping a very tight connection with the European team. And so investing significantly, so if I take New York, for example, it was 4 of us when we started, and it's a big investments. Both Shardul, my partner, and I, kind of co-leading the office. We've been committing to stay there for at least 5 years, and probably more. It's only been 3 years in, and we have no intention of moving. So it is a serious commitment. We're kind of burning the ships in some way, and really going deep to make sure that we're successful, and do it in this very deliberate way. Which is also, by the way, what we recommend to companies. There's this magnet archetype, which is when you get pulled to the US market by your customers. So enterprise sales or enterprise software in general is a good example of that. And we recommend that they do the same thing, that they send at least 1 co-founder with a small team around them of people who have been deep in the company, understand the market, understand the culture, and keep that bridge and make this significant investment to make sure that there is a core of that culture and that DNA that moves with them, and then hire not senior people to whom you outsource, but junior people who you can train and you can grow inside that company in the way that you want.
Yeah, and it was one of the things that stood out to me in the full word that you wrote. Is a line where you said it requires commitment, like above all else. And I think that sort of like burning the ships really resonates. That you've got to go over there, you've got to commit to it. But I'm conscious that we're out of time. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate having you on. We love reading your book. And yeah, look, we love Index Ventures. Thank you so much for coming on, and
we appreciate it. Congrats on the book.
Thanks for reading. Thanks for having us. And your support means a lot. We take a lot of time and pride and effort to put those books together. We think it's really important that we share the learnings from we've been doing this job for 30 years, and we've been working with a lot of great companies. And so being able to share these learnings with both our portfolio companies and also companies that are not in our portfolio, I think is a super important way to make sure that European companies get even bigger, even faster. And again, I think there's an amazing opportunity, and it's also a way to encourage people to think big and act big and move fast, because now is the time.
Absolutely.
Love it. Thank you so much, Martin.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Good to see you. Bye.
Hey guys.
Will,
Hello.
how are we, mate? Can you see us?
All good, thanks. All good. How you doing?
Doing very well.
Your screen is. I can, but it's frozen.
We're frozen. I think
Yeah, frozen.
we had a
I can
guest
hear you.
just leaving, so maybe there's like a little, don't know, thing. Have I kept the recording going as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, it says recording on my side.
Cool. Mate, how's it going? What's new?
Yeah, dude. All good. All good. What's new? I don't know. Nothing much. It feels like as a founder, like during the day, it's just like incredibly chaotic, and you look back at the end of the week, and it feels like nothing's changed. But at the same time, like everything has changed. But yeah, we're still grinding hard. But no major updates on that side.
Where are we working from today? Are you in a new office or are you in Bolton?
No, we're in Balderson still. We've got another 2 months here. Not looking forward to it ending actually, for 2 reasons. Number one, I enjoy it. Number two, we're gonna have to start paying rent, which is not a good thing. But yeah, we're in Balderson's HQ in King's Cross right now.
Amazing. Well, I think for the guests, just to give an intro onto to you, what you and your co-founder are building. You know, what is Tano? Who is Charlie? Everyone's wondering who Charlie is. Is it an employee? Is it an AI agent? If you could give us like a rundown, elevator pitch, Tano, Charlie, and how things are going on your end as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're building Tano, and Tano's creating a AI employee or an AI agent. I guess it's really one of the same for influencer marketing, and we call that agent Charlie. We could probably go into why it's called Charlie, and the reason is not fantastic. But the way in which our customers and we really think about it is like we're building meta ads, but for influencers. So what that means in practice is our AI agent finds, outreaches, kind of manages and onboards influencers while keeping humans in the loop where it's important to do so. It's like, obviously marketing is a very creative endeavor, and we don't really want to extract the creativity and humanness from it where we don't need to. So we get the agent to do a bunch of like the manual cumbersome work, and then we bring humans back in where it's important to do so. And the key problem that we're really looking to solve is that creator influencer marketing is a incredibly unique, like challenging channel for marketing brands, for e-commerce brands and marketing teams. That if you think about how most brands market themselves, probably like 80% of their spend plus goes on meta ads for e-commerce brands at least. And the reason they do that is just because it's like, firstly, so easy to extract so much data from what they're doing and the ads that they're serving. And secondly, it's very, very straightforward to go from like concept to production, and it's very quick. And that is the exact opposite of influencer marketing. Influencer marketing, people really struggle with getting any data. You know, you sponsor someone for an Instagram post. Is it going to get 1 million views? Is it going to get 5 views? And I wrote, and we had extensive sort of experience of doing this a couple of months ago. And then also like, even once you have all the data and you think you know what's going to happen, you've then got to go and, you know, negotiate and outreach real people on the other side. And that's incredibly complex and so time consuming. So we're trying to solve 2 of those things, getting better data so we can actually like forecast very accurately who's going to perform and who's not. And then once we have the data, actually take action upon it with our agents and go and find these creators and onboard them, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember, I'm laughing there because I remember when we first connected, me and Will met on a call, and he was basically, I think Sivesh had introed us from Balderson. We met on a call, and I was basically saying to Will, like, you know, what is Tano? Like, what does it do? And he's like, well, you know, like sometimes in startups, people are trying to unlock like short form content. They'll be manually going through an Excel sheet. The previous 2 hours to the call the previous 2 hours before jumping on the call, I had sat there manually going through like TikTok accounts. How many likes do the creators have? How many views do they have? So it was like, I was just sold on the spot. He was like, oh yeah, we fixed that. And I was like, oh, perfect. Oh, cool. Because I'm just like, I did that and I hate it.
Yeah, exactly. And even once you get all that data, you then got to do the next thing. You've got to send like 1,000 DMs.
It was a
50
nightmare.
of them reply.
And like for a pre-seed,
it's a complete nightmare.
For a pre-seed startup, like that is just not where you want to be spending, you know, one of your 5 days, well, one of your 7 days a week, really, if let's be honest.
No, it's not. And even for like non-pre-seed startups, you know, big spenders, the big spenders in the space are like Unilever and, L'Oreal, these huge brands. And they have massive teams doing this. I remember I spoke to one of the influence marketers at L'Oreal, and she was saying that she spends like 2.5 up to 5 days a week, literally just scrolling Instagram, looking for good influencers.
Wow.
Like, it's a crazy use of their time.
Wow.
And there's like thousands and thousands of people doing this.
And so that's what your agent is doing now, is going, is scrolling through, it's finding the best influencers, it's pulling the data. And then what is it? Making suggestions to the humans to say, look, this is our top 3 suggestions.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it operates like an external employee. So a brand will come to us and say, we have X budget, or we have this idea of this kind of like ambassador affiliate program that we want to build. And then our agent will go away and find, 500, 1,000 creators or in some cases actually many more than that, who we think are a good fit, take it back to the customer and say like, which of these 1,000 do you want to partner with? And then the agent will go out and outreach to them and, get them on board for the campaign. And we integrate into Shopify and we integrate into all the different affiliate networks. So we generate affiliate links. I don't know if you guys have had any experience with managing affiliates, but that is an entire kind of chaotic endeavor in itself. All these kind of UTM links and links and a bunch of stuff there. We send them the products. So the agent has many different tools at its disposal, one of which is actually sending products through Shopify. And then it really just takes on the entire process of managing these campaigns. And then at various points, it will come back to a human and say, this influencer asked me a very strange question. I don't know the answer to it. Or, maybe there was an issue sending the order, the address was slightly wrong. And then it pulls a human back in. Nice.
I mean, you mentioned just then going back, you mentioned big brands. I don't think you've done yourself justice on the intro. I think you're being a bit humble, but Tano had managed to lock in customers like Lovable and Bolts within, I don't know how long it had been, but you didn't have an office. You still don't have an office.
we didn't. We still don't have an
Which
office.
is just I think that is insane.
Yeah.
That's a testament to just how cracked you and Sagar are. But can you walk us through what's it like working? Well, yeah, what's it like working with these hyperscalers? We were talking about Lovable this morning. There's a rumor going around now of 150 million, was it 1.8 billion valuation? Yeah. What's it like working with these guys? You kind of get to see a peek in on the inside, right? We'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. We're incredibly lucky, actually quite privileged to be able to work with these guys because they are insanely cracked to the nth degree. I mean, a couple of observations that I found very interesting is one is their speed to execution is second to none. I've never really seen anything like it. I've worked for a bunch of venture-backed startups, and it's really extraordinary. Their ability to take an idea and then just execute upon it immediately is really amazing. So, for example, when we signed Bolt, I was talking with Mitchell, who's the head of marketing. You should get on. He's a really awesome guy. And they'd been trying a bunch of different things. Obviously, a bunch of them had been working, but they wanted to experiment with influencers. They saw they were getting a bunch of organic reach on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, but they hadn't really put a huge amount of paid budget behind it. So they decided, literally on a Monday, to do this. By Tuesday, I was on a call with him. By Wednesday, we'd received the money for the influencers, and by the following Monday, we'd gone live with our first influencer. So it was 7 days. Normally, brands would probably spend a couple of months on this. And it's the same with Lovable. It's just the speed of iteration, the speed of execution is just remarkable. And I think the second observation I had is their ability to dig really, really deeply, much more deeply than a bunch of other customers we have, to be honest, into the data. I think it's very special. I've been on calls with both of them, poring over mixed panel dashboards and really digging down to see what's actually moving the needle, which is hard for them because when you have this inferno of growth under you, it's actually hard to know what's actually moving the needle and what's not because the numbers are just going up so much every day. But those two things are very special. And they're also just so humble. These are two of the most exciting companies in the world at the moment, and you get on a call with them and you wouldn't know it. So they're great people to work with.
That's insane. I mean, we've spoke about them a lot on the show. Will, you and I personally as well. How their distribution is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Their viral coefficient is essentially baked into the product, right? I make something cool and lovable. I want to show the world that hey guys, I'm technical now. Look at this thing I just built. Look at this, whatever it is. But it bridges that gap from I'm no longer an ideas guy to someone that can build something. But I do think that maybe I'm just a bit of an idiot when I use them. I'm not sure if the promise that I'm sold is I can build an app in seconds or whatever. App to idea in seconds, I think, is one of their taglines.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it's quite there. I'd love to hear what you think. When these tools actually are creating ideas to apps in seconds, that someone as poorly technically skilled as I can whip something up. Like, what do you think that future looks like?
Yeah, I mean, first to answer your, Seb, I don't know, have you tried building any apps?
Yeah, I've actually used it. I've used it a bunch. I used it in my job, like when I was working in a product team to like mock up MVPs.
Oh, cool.
But that wasn't.
Yeah, that's what it's great for.
That's what it's amazing for, and that's kind of what I think the biggest use case would be, especially on a B2B basis, will be actually putting this tool in the hands of like product managers, designers, engineers, as like a good way of testing things, getting it in front of your customers. But I tried to build a CRM, and you can build a CRM in like 5 minutes, and it looks great. It's got some basic functionality.
But does it work?
It'll also break really quickly. And like my wife's a software engineer. She's an amazing developer. So for me, anytime that something would go wrong and I couldn't fix it, or Lovable couldn't fix it, because they immediately try and debug it, I would just be like, can you fix this for me? And sometimes she'd be able to fix it in 5 minutes. Sometimes she would spend like an hour trying to fix it. So
right.
And I think that's the big problem, is that you quite quickly hit the ceiling if you're not technical, at which point you do need to bring somebody technical in to be like, can you sort this out for me? Because I have no idea what's going on.
100%. So like, my view on it is that it's obviously a continuum. And, if you go back 5 years, my guess on the proportion of code that was written in a production environment with AI is probably like, 2%, 1%, maybe even 0%. Yeah. Now, I look at every other like startup who's working here at Bulletin, and just friends of mine who are working at startups. I would say probably like 90+% is probably written by Cursor. And now you extrapolate that, 5 years on with, right now it's done by Cursor, by someone prompting it. And that prompt is just like changing small features, or, like a few lines here and there, but it's not changing like entire, most of the time, it's not changing entire files or like entire code bases. Then you extrapolate that another 5 years. I think you'll get to a point where a huge amount of it is actually like both written and directed by AI. So I think actually Lovable even yesterday brought out their like AI agent functionality, which is like the first step towards this. And like, for sure, are you going to one-shot Salesforce? Probably not. Yeah. Despite maybe some of the promises. But what's also worth noting is like there are genuinely a bunch of apps that have been built on Lovable, on Bolt, on Replit or whatever it is, that are actually out in a production environment, but they do take time. So like if the promise is you can go from idea to app in seconds, like yes, that is true, but can you go from idea to like actually like a production worthy app in seconds? That's probably not quite there today. But if you spend enough time on it and you prompt it right, you definitely can. And I would say that there's actually a bunch of webinars that I think both those teams have done with kind of like consultants who work for them, who are using both of their applications to then go build like actual CRMs and stuff. And you get to like 4, 5, 6, 700 prompts. Wow. So the promise of doing it in a single shot, like probably not true. But if you actually utilize them to the extent of their capabilities, then it's like definitely possible today, and it's only going to get easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember just on that in general, a lot of what they do is sort of like social facing, right? Their growth was massive on X first before LinkedIn. Looking at your LinkedIn, you're very sort of creator friendly, right? And I know you have a background in this as well. Something that I'd love to hear. The way that I guess I call LinkedIn like a social media, but you're also on Twitter. You have TikTok. These are social media platforms. But it doesn't sound like you're using them in a social way, like any of these brands are using them in a social way, right? So what does the future for these apps look like?
Yeah, I think this is like a fascinating topic, and if I take a step back, and I think Ronan, we've spoken about this before, but there's nothing social about most of the social media platforms and networks these days. Nobody goes on TikTok to see their friends. You go on TikTok to see something served to you by the algorithm at 3 a.m. and then, realize that you didn't get enough sleep. I've spent a bunch of time thinking about this for the reason that, if we can potentially use the kind of like parabola of the last 20 years to dictate where the next 20 years are going to go, I think it's very interesting. And so I was thinking about this before, and the first social medias were there was two: MySpace, which we've all heard of, and then another one called 6 Degrees. And they like truly were social medias. You would go on there to interact with your social network. The fact that 6 Degrees is called 6 Degrees is because, the expression 6 degrees of separation. And they were all predicated on the idea that your feed would be fed to you by people that were in your network and by things that were like directly relevant to you. And then, Facebook came and blew up, and then Instagram and Snapchat came and blew up too. And then TikTok came. And then in like 2019, it really started to blow up. And of course, over COVID in 2020, it just, exploded. And that's when everything changed, because for the first time, your newsfeed or your feed or whatever you want to call it, your For You page, what they end up calling it, was not dictated by the proximity or the closeness of you to another user. It was purely dictated by how strongly like the algorithm thought that, how strongly thought you were going to enjoy that piece of content, which meant that it's meant a bunch of things. The first thing it's meant is that, as I say, nobody goes on TikTok to see their friends. There's nothing social. It's just an algorithmically driven feed of, copious amounts of, millions of videos are uploaded every day to TikTok, which means that firstly, like anybody can go viral. We have a bunch of creators that we work with, some of the brands you just mentioned, who have maybe less than 100 followers, who've had videos hit, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. That just wasn't really possible like 10 or 15 years ago. You had to be a, celebrity or already a big creator to get those kind of results. But I think kind of the second order effect here is because there's kind of a lot of like inauthenticity in some of these networks today. There's kind of like a bit of a pushback towards people actually wanting some community and authenticity. So that's why, like, if you look at YouTube and you look at Instagram, like they're growing like 10, 15, 20% year on year, and TikTok's actually stayed flat for the last 12 months. So I find it, fascinating. It's not to say like anything's happening on TikTok; it's still crushing it. But it's certainly like a very new wave of interacting with other people on the internet.
Yeah, and we've heard other people say similar things, that the algorithm is changing and that it doesn't matter about your following; it just matters about how good quality your content is. How's that going to change things for you?
Yeah, it's. I actually think it's great, not just for us, but like new companies in the influencer marketing space. Because look at all these, like if you look at all these old agencies and even like the old, big creator SaaS platforms, the number one thing that they index for when they, advise you to partner with a creator is how many followers they have. We literally do not consider that at all. If you have, 500 million followers and you're Mr. Beast, or you have, 500 because you just started yesterday. Like, it honestly does. YouTube's a bit different, but on like Instagram, especially TikTok, it just genuinely does not matter at all. Like, literally not at all. Which creates great opportunities for smaller creators. But brands kind of still, I think, often fall into the same trap where they'll see someone on TikTok with 200,000 followers and think, fantastic, they're going to go and get me 200,000 views. And it just doesn't work like that. They might get 500 views or they might get 1 million. It's like completely irrelevant how many followers they have, which is why the way in which we structure it is based much more on like actual like historical views. I'm very lucky in the fact that my co-founder Saga is like great at maths, great mathematician. So he's done a lot of analysis into like how we can predict some of the view counts and all of this kind of stuff, which is very helpful. But I actually think a lot of brands and especially some of the big agencies still have they're like years behind on this.
And we're trying to build our social media. Like we're going on Instagram, we're going on TikTok. We've got like no followers on these platforms.
Give us the deets. Give us the secrets.
Yeah. What are your top recommendations for just like creating good quality viral content?
I can give you so my own lived experience is, and I think Ronan we've spoken about this, is like the reason I got into this space is in 2024. My sister and I both started. I started a TikTok, and she started a TikTok, and then lastly an Instagram. And I was kind of helping her out on the side in evenings and weekends to try and grow her page. She's an interior designer. She really started it because she just wanted to buy more leads, essentially. And like nothing really happened for a while, and then we just carried on. We'd have a meeting every week. This week we're going to do this. You need to do this format and this hook. And like over time, it just like built and built and built and built. And then eventually, she finally had one viral video about why you shouldn't use black taps in your bathroom. Like a relatively innocuous topic.
Yeah.
And it blew up. Yeah, it blew up, and it's got millions of views. But that singular video drove like 50,000 followers for her overnight on Instagram.
Wow.
And the
That's
reason
insane.
we think that is because that she had like weeks and weeks of content posting every single day, like providing value for her audience. So when someone saw that video and thought, okay, that's interesting, why shouldn't I use backtaps? Went her profile. And then that's how you actually build an audience. Not by just like a singular viral hit, that, goes out to the ether and then you never hear or see anything from it. It's actually like building, reputation, providing value. And that's just the main thing. It's like value first. And Seb, like you do an extraordinary job at this. I follow all your posts and like you're always providing value, which is why people, I guess, like trust what you're saying and like want to hear from you. But there is also there's also no silver bullet. And I get asked a lot about, viral hacks, and I think you just got to keep throwing stuff.
Yeah, I heard another growth marketer who's built or grown some of the biggest brands in Europe. He's working with a company now, and he says he's got like 20 company pages on TikTok, and like every single account or 20 accounts on TikTok, and they're all slightly different names, but they all lead to the same place. And he just spams TikTok with like slightly different variations of the same content on all these 20 different accounts. And he was saying that he's not optimizing for a following. He's not optimizing for all he wants to do is create viral clips that drive people to whatever it is that he's trying to get to. I think for him, it was like a recruitment app or something.
Yeah, so that is like the current meta on TikTok, and that's actually what we run for some of the companies we mentioned before, like Lovable. Is there's no point in sponsoring a creator who's got 50,000 followers on TikTok, and there's no point in giving them like $5,000 for a post because chances are it's probably going to flop and get a few thousand views. And that you're just literally playing the lottery at that point. You're just gambling. The way to do it is exactly as you just mentioned. Your friend in Europe, and this is what we do with a bunch of companies: is we sign them a bunch of creators who each create a video per day. And they follow the content kind of directions we give them, like almost to the word, and then we give them a small amount of creative freedom. And that's how you get hundreds of pieces of content going out each month with known viral content themes. And we can kind of like direct it, and we have all these different creators who are, as I say, making like the same type of video, small variations, like slightly different hooks. And that's how you win on TikTok. Follow account, completely irrelevant. It's just like, can we hit the numbers?
Yeah, and I think that's what we want to try and test out. It's like, can we get 100 TikToks out a week, which are all very similar, but like you said, there's very slight variations on the hook of the caption.
Yeah, exactly.
And just see what hits.
Yeah, exactly. It's like someone who does as well as Harry Stebbings in 20VC. I think he told me he had 6 or 7 editors, like short form video editors, who just clip up all his podcasts.
No
so like
way.
You guys can make
100
clips out of this. Yeah. I mean, I think that's across his different podcasts, not just the main one. But I find that very surprising. But yeah, the name of the game on short form media is quantity. Of course, quality is important, but honestly, I would index like higher on just quantity than quality. If you spend 2 weeks making the perfect TikTok, you're definitely worse off than you spend 2 weeks creating one video every day.
Yeah, and I've definitely experienced that even on LinkedIn. Right, my own posts, it's like I've just got to.
Yeah, that's true.
You just got to churn them out. Well,
that's what we thought today. We thought banger alert when we dropped the recap, and it was a clanger alert. It didn't bang.
Didn't bang.
It didn't bang.
So,
the LinkedIn algo is crazy. I don't think anyone actually quite understands it. You'll seeing like very boring posts, bang, and then very interesting ones do nothing.
Yeah.
So I put in that group chat room where I was like, "Yo, does anyone know if you tag loads of people, does that get?"
Nobody knows. Nobody
knows. It's like a real black box.
You'll see posts with like 1,000 people tagged get 10,000 likes. I don't think anyone understands the LinkedIn algo.
Yeah, no one does. And I speak to other people who are like trying to build audiences, and everyone just is like pulling their hair out, like, what is going on? It changes all the time with absolutely no transparency.
But I completely agree. I mean, Seb, what are your findings?
What about
just consistency?
Yeah, you just got to be consistent.
LinkedIn?
Yeah. I mean, like the uptick I saw, I started doing it once a week in January last year, and I was seeing like very modest, steady growth, but the occasional post would do well. And then in May, I started doing it at least 5 times a week, and then the following and the engagement, the reach, kind of 10x overnight. The first week that I did 5 posts, I got more followers from that week than in the 5 months before, where I'd been doing it once a week.
Really?
And it wasn't.
That's crazy.
I don't think the content was that much better. It was just that the LinkedIn algorithm loved me being like a super user, and they pushed things, and it meant that every day I was having engagement, and You just got to churn
So it's
it
like
out.
engagement per week almost, as opposed to.
I don't know. This is the thing. I have no idea why, but I think they just promote the super users. And like now, I'm a prolific LinkedIn loser. I just churn out the content all day, every day.
Like LinkedIn stories.
You have to cross the valley of what was the expression, like cross the valley of cringe
Yeah, exactly.
to get to the promised land, which I think is so true.
No, I crossed that bridge a long time ago.
Me too. Yeah, Seb, I'm surprised that Revolut haven't offered you the job of like chief communications officer yet.
It's an absolute travesty.
Hey, we need to get them on.
It is. Big payday incoming.
Biggest miscarriage of justice. It's absolutely shocking.
Yeah, you've done growth marketing. Like, surely you must have driven some.
All this influencer marketing I'm doing for them.
Yeah.
They give me nothing in return.
Well, Charlie's coming for your job.
Yeah, actually, we should hit you up. We'll get you a Revolut brand.
Yeah, I'm only interested in Revolut. But why would they? I do it for free anyway.
You just love them so
But
much.
also, how hard is it for the company page to like my post? Just like my post, Revolut. Come
True.
on.
This is a direct message to Revolut.
Have they never liked it?
No, they never. Some companies always will. Some companies always won't. I'm always just like, come on, Revolut. Just give me one.
They're missing out.
I thought maybe one thumbs up, one like goat emoji.
You would have thought so.
Goat emoji.
I've earned
queen
it.
emoji.
You should start talking about Monzo because
They don't engage.
much more.
They're
not because they're much more active. They have like a kind of more humorous.
Oh, they do like the social, like,
they engage
here's what happened
with
on Monday
everyone's
thing.
posts. They won't touch mine. I don't know what it is.
It's because you're so Revolut diehard.
Yeah,
because you love Revolut.
Yeah. It's weird. You know, they're like the most easy like you could get on LinkedIn. If you talk about them or you talk about their social media strategy,
Nothing.
They're nothing from me.
There's probably a black mark next to your name.
Yeah.
Like
Do
social
not
CRM.
engage with this account.
That's good. I have just two. We've got like, well, literally 3 minutes left. So I guess maybe
3 minutes.
just one last question instead of two. We have your old CEO coming on. We have Eric from Encord.
Yeah.
Anything that we should ask him? Anything that we shouldn't ask him? You know, does he love Monzo? And Seb's gonna have a problem with him.
I think like Eric has number one, he's just an incredibly smart, insightful guy. I would go pretty deep on like where AI has come from and where it's going. I think he's like very, very insightful around that. And like a very kind of like at a very technical level. I remember that he spoke about there's an anecdote he gave when I was at Encord last year. I think it was at the Sun party where he was using ChatGPT. Well, it wasn't called ChatGPT. I think it was just called GPT-2 that he used for a wedding speech back in like 2017 or something. So you can see he was like well ahead of the curve, like truly ahead of the curve. And also Encord's interacting with like some of the most like ambitious and like frontier labs and AI companies as well. So like he truly is at the forefront of it. So yeah, I would go deep on AI, what he thinks happening. I think he's a big fan of NVIDIA, so ask him about that. But yeah, I'd go deep on deep learning and AI.
Amazing. All right,
So
well,
cool.
thanks for joining us, Will. It's been a pleasure to have you.
We got to have you
Awesome.
back.
Yeah,
that
keep
was
us up to
awesome.
date.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. And yeah.
Nice one, mate.
Sweet, have a good one. Good luck with it.
Ciao.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Awesome. Really cool to get insight into that. Up next, we've got Reuben coming on, I think.
Yeah, 2 minutes. 2
From
minutes.
Briefcase. That's going to be a fun chat. I mean, we've not even had enough time. It's been so back to back to get into any of our topics to be discussed. I mean, we covered Lovable. The H Company saga. Yeah, I'm not sure we can fit that in
2
1
minutes.
minute.
1 minute. All right, let's do that for afterwards because that's juicy.
Yeah. Tandem Health Raise. Did you do a post about these guys?
I did, yeah. I think they are a Stockholm-based AI company.
Yeah.
Huge. I think they're built. It's like a AI assistant for clinicians.
Yeah, so I think it's like, because I think they manufacture it as well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a Siri.
For doctors.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, you're spending X percent of your day as a clinician typing up notes from seeing each patient.
Yeah.
Just have this thing on in the background. And so like a recording device and software that listens during patient consultations, automatically transcribes patient interactions, generates draft medical notes that integrate directly with doctor medical record systems. And apparently now the system can now generate sick leave letters, referral notes, patient communications. It's cool because it's like, you know, you think about what's the the evolution of taking these notes in these clinician calls. I'm going to sit with you, and I'm going to sit at my desk for 10 minutes. You know, I've got one of my housemates works. He's a junior doctor in the NHS. It's like I'm going to sit down and type up notes for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to see someone else. But now, like a lot of these people are using GPT. I'm not sure if they're meant to, but a lot of them are using GPT. And now I guess like the transition from that is just let's just have this, you know, Alexa style box in the room.
And what they're tapping into is the fact that they know that doctors are using like ChatGPT, and it's not legit.
And like they are using it. I've seen loads of stuff on
and it's not
on X.
and it's not secure. It's like all your data is being absorbed. So what they're trying to do, what they are doing, is they're building it from like a compliance standpoint first, so that your data is secure, the patient information is secure. Yeah. It's not just being absorbed into like the GPT engine. Like,
well, dude, like people like it's already getting memed. Like someone's in like some sort of massive, you know, there's massive like MRI scanners. Yeah, and they're shouting through the window like, you know, how's it looking, doc? And he's just got like a Claude project up, and he's just like, oh, 1 sec, and he's just like prompting Claude,
chucking into Claude. Bad news, Claude.
The
outlook is not good.
Amazing question. Like, let me tell you why this is not good news.
See, but they've seen amazing traction. I think like they're already in 1,000 organizations that are using their technology.
Yeah, and they did a partnership with Accurix, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but with over 200,000 NHS professionals have access to Tandem's technology. I did not know that. Like, I need to chat to my housemate, because he's been saying things are kind of slow over there.
Yeah. And it was a big Series A, 50 million. Another one of the what are they calling it? Silicon Valhalla collectives. Just like another Stockholm-based AI startup that is absolutely killing it.
Yeah, and I love this quote as well. So sorry, the founder is like, yeah, we probably have the most expensive customer support team in the world. It's just a team of 30 providing live online assistance, 80% of whom have medical degrees or like clinical experience. That's the support team.
It's insane, isn't it?
Imagine like you're I don't know, uni, or you go to college in the US, or whatever. You do like 4 or 5 years there, then you do like 8 years of docs, and you're like, finally, can now work at that
support agent.
B2C, B2B, health tech company.
Well, there must be the most highest paid support
they must
team.
be getting, cash.
But I guess that's the way you do it, right? You have the agents, and it's similar to what Denai was saying a couple of weeks ago, right? You have the agents solve 90% of the cases, but you need the 10% there. And in this case, when it's medical questions,
but you can't be cutting.
You can't just give it to like a 23-year-old grad. As your support agent.
Yeah, like a data labeler. You need someone who knows what they're on about. Let me check in with Reuben.
There could be an interesting one to talk to Eric about Encord, because I know that a lot of their data labeling is used by medical organizations as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's see what he thinks.
It's obviously a very, very different business, but ultimately trying to bring AI to medical and healthcare.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him some questions on that. I'm trying to see if Reuben is having trouble.
It's also interesting that Will talked about Eric being like insightful on AI. One of my friends works at Encord, and I said, what do you think I should ask him? And he said the exact same thing, which is ask him about the future of AI.
Oh, wow.
Because he always gets it right.
Yeah, okay. That's a good guy to talk to.
Yeah, it's
interesting
question. That both people that we've asked have said the same thing, that this guy like really understands AI and the direction that it's going in.
I wonder if he's following the H company story. I'm not sure why anyone else is like, I feel like this just isn't a thing.
It's not being that well
no
covered
one's talking about it. I mean, like 220 million euro seed a year ago.
It's gone.
5 co-founders, 4 of which have gone. The co-founder lineup is insane. Like, you're looking at these guys who are raising money, and you're just like, how can I not give them all the money I have? Like, CTOs, 10 years at DeepMind, helped build AlphaGo. Like,
crazy.
CEO Charles, Stanford researcher, Carl, DeepMind alum, now works for Meta.
Well, I was going to say, why risk trying to build your own business when you can, the salaries that Meta is paying some of these people? I saw some on like a $300 million package, and there's been all these memes about Ronaldo's package.
Yeah.
Versus like, the AI scientists.
Yeah.
It's like, it's never been a better
It's like
time.
Mark's just on an absolute mad one. Reuben is in the meeting room. Let me see.
But yeah, the potential upside of founding your own thing is just...
Well, dude, I mean, when you're chucking, £100 million, dollar signing bonuses, we don't know if it's,
total comp
100% legit. Yeah. Let me just send Reuben the link directly.
Why would you try and build your own? And it sort of puts it into perspective. Like a $200 million seed round sounds quite big, but actually, if these people were working at Meta, they would be collectively getting paid way more than that.
What
if those five co-founders could probably all get 50 to 100 mil packages at Meta right now.
Oh yeah.
So that seed round doesn't look that big anymore.
Well, that's why one of them's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm not going to build this. I'll just join.
On some founder
Mark's
salary.
going to chuck me, 20 M's.
Why not?
To change the color of a few widgets.
Join their super team.
I'm pinging Reuben. We've got him in. I think he's in a waiting room on the Google Meet, but I'm just trying to get him to join the Riverside link.
Here he is.
Hello. Oh, look at that entrance. Look at the swag on that head. Reuben, how are you? Thank you so much for coming on. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
No, it's all good. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing very well.
Is it your birthday or
no? Something much more important than that.
Yeah. Briefcase's birthday. 1 year old today.
Amazing! Congratulations! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to Briefcase.
Thank you.
Talk us through the birthday. How are you celebrating?
Yeah, so we actually went out to celebrate yesterday. Went to a mini golf spot. I came second. So
I've got the medal. Let's go.
But I feel like the celebrations should just continue, right? It's a whole week. I think what you'll find is that most startups also have multiple birthdays because it's like, when did you really start?
Yeah.
So that's also something that we're taking advantage of. Any excuse for social, basically.
Yeah, just keep milking it. Keep
clipping it.
Yeah, keep milking, keep clipping.
Keep clipping away.
Tell us about Briefcase, right? We've done our research, but for the audience, give us like the 1 minute elevator pitch. What is it you've built?
Of course. So we're automating knowledge work in one of the world's largest and most foundational industries, which is accounting. So what that basically means is that we're building an agentic platform where a accountant, bookkeeper, or business owner could upload all of their unstructured financial documents. So think invoices, receipts, credit notes, contracts, and then our AI will take care of the rest. So it would do all the bookkeeping for you, do all the financial close for you, and then in the future also produce your kind of tax return and year-end accounts. That's the vision.
Amazing. And how's it going so far?
It's going very well. Yeah, we're at the beginning part of that journey. So we, at the moment, we'll integrate with people like Xero and QuickBooks. And you would upload your invoices, receipts into the system. We'll complete the bookkeeping, the categorization, the VAT compliance, push it through to those systems. But we're more and more adding more functionality and these exciting things that nobody else has done before. And that's really what's getting a lot of interest in the market.
Amazing. I know that when we you and I spoke a while ago when I was at Pigment, I think this first time we properly connected for, I think it was just like a feedback call or something, trying to work out what's going on in the FP&A space. You have a background in FP&A as well. What's changed since then? So just to get a complete sort of high level, I know that you guys raised 3 million from early birds supported by EF and Tiny Supercomputer. Can you break down what you've been doing with that capital like since then, how you're deploying it? And then I would love to get into hearing, why you guys are killing it on double digit month-on-month growth as well.
Yeah, of course. So, we've come a long way from that call that we had, I think it was about a year ago now, on talking about FP&A. That's where my background is. My background's in like finance and strategy and FP&A. And obviously that's where naturally you would go to look first in terms of like, what is it that you want to build? We struggled to build conviction that CFOs had pains that they were willing to spend loads of money for. Where they couldn't use existing tooling or piece together existing tooling to solve it. And I think the insight there is that for any business, if you sell to the CFO, the best you can offer is reducing their costs. Like you cannot, however good my product is, let's say I try to sell to the CFO of OpenAI, my product is not going to help OpenAI win more customers or help OpenAI charge more per customer, right? the best thing it can do for OpenAI is help them reduce their costs, which is like, okay, but it's not the strongest value prop. If you sell to accountants and bookkeepers, which is what we do primarily, what the service they deliver, you can provide more efficiently, and therefore they can deliver that service to maybe double the amount of people than they could before. And that completely transforms their business. Or maybe they can have the same headcount, but grow to twice the size. So really that's kind of why we made the switch from focusing on CFOs to kind of focus on accounting tech. And I think that kind of was supported through our fundraise. And then so far that money we've been spending obviously on the team and then on building out the product. We're not investing much in marketing or other things. We're just focusing on the product and kind of building relationships with accountants and bookkeepers who are happy to use it. Yeah.
I mean, on that as well, I've seen you at a load of events recently on LinkedIn and on the socials. It looks like you're kind of doing founder-led sales mode right now. I mean, two questions. How important is that at a pre-seed seed stage company for the founder to be the one selling the product? And then secondly, I'd love to go into a bit more on what was it like changing from, your ICP is no longer CFOs, like how like, in terms of how difficult it is now to sell into accountancy companies instead of like you going, high level enterprise company CFOs. I'd love to get your take on both of those.
So founder-led sales I think is critical. I don't think anyone will disagree on that. And like at this stage, like everyone in the team is part of the founding team. So actually everyone on the team should be involved to some extent. I mean, for like, an engineer who's like very back-end focused or something, like we might not have them on the sales call, but I definitely will share a recording of the sales call. And we do encourage that people come to these events as well, even engineers, just to kind of get a feel for what the market is asking for and get a feel for how the product is perceived in the market. So I think that's really important. And that context sharing at an early stage is critical. But you're never going to learn as much as when you actually do it, right? Like when you're actually doing the call, when you're actually the one that's listening to the customer, that's when you're going to get the biggest learning. So you need the founders doing that. And I think you need the founding team doing that wherever possible as well.
Yeah.
In terms of like selling to accountants, it's an interesting market to sell to because they haven't had much innovation in like the past decade. Like the last big innovation in accounting was the move from desktop to cloud-based software.
Wow,
which happened in 2008.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah, so that's literally the benchmark. And by the way, there are still some accounting firms that haven't done that move. But that is like, if you speak to an accounting firm and they're like, yeah, we're digital, we're really tech forward, it's because they're on the cloud. Wow. That's what they mean by that. So in many ways, that's a great opportunity because it means that when you look around the landscape and the kind of ecosystem, AI hasn't been deployed in a very useful way for accountants yet. And that's essentially what we're here to change. And I think that's helping massively with our growth. And when you mention like, what is it that's been contributing to our growth, I think it is having a product that is new to accountants and that does things that weren't possible before. And that is very different to, or that's driving the next kind of wave of innovation in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's very much how we position ourselves as well when we speak to
that's a really interesting point. And I have like, coming from the FP&A space at Pigment, I think what less so saw it at the time, but I'm more so seeing it now is that, and maybe you could get your input on this, Reuben, and get your take on it, but you kind of have two sides of this like battle with a load of casualties in the middle, thanks to AI in the past like 2 or 3 years, where you have these larger enterprise players, people like from my space, it was like Caplan and Pigment that are able to kind of ship AI quick enough where they have a pretty large existing customer base where they can roll out some sort of AI feature where it keeps the AI hungry customers, happy enough to kind of wait for the team to develop a more fully fledged product and fully lean into the AI space. On the other hand, you have like people, what sounds like Briefcase is more focused on like these new AI native financial technology coming into the market. And then in the middle, you just have this group of companies that aren't quite big enough and don't quite have the customer like basis there to just kind of ship a couple AI features and keep them happy. And then that can be their way of saying, hey, look, we are thinking about this shift. But they're not quite small enough to like fully redesign the whole org and switch back to some sort of like AI native company like Briefcase. Do you think the future of AI getting involved in the stack of the CFO is that these middle incumbents just get wiped out, and we're only going to see like loads of new smaller players, these AI native players, trying to compete with these top dogs?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I mean, I can't really comment too much on the CFO stack because we haven't been in that space for over a year. I think when it comes to an accounting tech, the biggest thing, and accounting techs are trying to adopt AI. Like it's not like they're completely blind to it. You have Xero, which is like rolling just Ask Xero. We have like QuickBooks, which is rolling out Intuit Assist. But it's very difficult to basically, like, the most important thing when you're building an AI product is basically like your backend and the way you structure the data. Because you need to be able to feed that data in a useful way to your AI agents so that they can actually take actions with the context that they need in order to take the action correctly. And this is massive in accounting because accounting is a very context dependent industry. So you might be a coffee shop and you buy paint and that's repairs and maintenance, but you might be a construction company and you buy paint and that's a cost of goods sold. So the context of which company you are is like critical in order to just categorize your transaction. Same thing is true for in order to do like tax compliance for a company. So context is everything. And products which have been built before kind of the AI era didn't build their databases in a way to A, collect the context that they need, or in a way to B, be able to easily surface that context where necessary to AI agents. And this is where you have a huge advantage. And I'm sure that the same is true in other industries, by the way. But this is where you have a huge advantage if you're starting from the ground up to be AI native, because you have that opportunity to orchestrate your product so that it is collecting the amount of information that you need, and so that it's providing it in a useful way to the agents that are taking the task on top. Like to actually kind of make this super real with an example, if you take like the ledger space, so again, like your Xero or like your QuickBooks, these ledgers don't have the context that they need in order to automate financial close. And I learned this when I was at Starling. So when I was at Starling and we got to the end of the month, we would have to go through all of our transactions and see if any of the transactions need adjusting, right? Like identify a prepayment and put an adjustment for it. We couldn't do that just from the P&L because the P&L didn't have the level of data. Like we were lucky if it even had a description. So we would always go back to the original invoice or receipt in order to know if it needed adjusting.
Yeah, it's painful. That sounds really painful.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like part of the insight in Briefcase. If you start with data capture, which is what our kind of wedge product is in the market, you can collect that information that you actually need in order to automate all of those downstream workflows. But that insight isn't obvious pre-AI. It is obvious afterwards. And then we can build from the ground up with that insight.
And how easy was it for you to convince the investors that you got on board that this is a real problem and it's a problem worth solving?
I think part of the challenge, I mean, like it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was like hugely difficult. I think the thing which we had to overcome initially is that people would hear about what we're doing and just assume CFO tech stack, and then would like talk to us about numeric or like completely unrelated companies. And we had to like, tell them actually we sell to accountants, this is their pain problem, this is their workflows. And I think in every good fundraise, you are educating the investors, right? Like that is part of what you have to do, and you have to do that in a convincing way. And it's very useful to identify where they might have misconceptions and like politely like correct or say, actually, this is our experience. Like actually, we've interviewed 200 accountants and bookkeepers, and this is what they told us, and then kind of like put them on that path. So it required a little bit of education and like guiding at the start. But once as long as you've actually done the homework and you've done the research, like it's not too hard to get them on board.
Yeah. Something I wanted to chat to quickly as well, more of like a zooming out period. So we had Will Caplan on before you, who was also part of the Boulderson Launchpad. I didn't actually know originally that you guys were also involved in that a while ago. I think Sivesh mentioned. Could you maybe walk us through like? I mean, it seems that the people coming out of that are doing exceptionally well. Like, what is the Boulderson Launchpad? What happens there?
Yeah, so Boulderson Launch is a great program, and we're very close with Sivesh, who helped us get on the program. Basically, what they do is I think they do it twice a year. They find the most promising pre-seed stage startups, and they just invite them to work from Boulderson's office, and that's pretty much it. They do run a couple events or talks. So we had some great speakers come from the US, from the UK as well, to share their insights. but it is very hands off, which I think is good for them for the most part. Especially for the kind of stage companies, they're typically inviting companies that already have an idea and are already working on something.
Yeah.
So they're super hands off. They provide a wonderful environment and free office, so you can't really complain at the free office space. And for us, it was great to be surrounded by other startups at a similar stage. I mean, that's the main thing that you get out of it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, we've got time. Maybe one more question. I'd love to hear what is the biggest priority for Briefcase right now. How can we help get the message out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think for and this is going to be true, I guess, for kind of all founders, but the most important thing is the team. And I think that's like going to be, if you're a founder, that's where you should be focusing most of your time. So we are hiring at the moment. We're hiring engineers. If anyone is interested, we'd love to have a chat. The other thing, which is always a priority for everyone at Briefcase, is the product. We are a product obsessed team. Everyone on the team codes, even if they're not from technical backgrounds. We'll get you set up on Cursor. You'll be shipping stuff in no time. And we don't want to lose touch of our product obsession. So every decision we make is like through a product lens of does this make sense given our vision? Does it make sense given who we want to serve? And being very kind of, where possible, being opinionated and critical on those decisions. So I think those are two priorities. Obviously building out the team and making sure we're finding people that are the right fit, and then maintaining the same level of product obsession, which got us to where we are today.
Nice. Well, we can try and help out with finding people.
Some cracked engineers.
We'll have to get some cracked engineers on
Exactly.
and then connect you guys. We should become like a recruitment funnel.
Yeah. We should have a like a ETS job bulletin board.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe we can get you an engineer if we set that up. We'll have to do it pretty quick though, because you guys are moving pretty quick. Reuben, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll have to get you back on. Enjoy the rest of the party. Enjoy the rest of the birthday. I hope there are many more medals to come.
I'm sure there will be. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Cheers, Reuben. Nice one.
Take care.
Interesting. The Bolton Launchpad seems to be spawning a few beauties.
Yeah, he's also another entrepreneur first company as well.
Yes, yeah. Oh, we didn't touch on EF, did we?
It's interesting that we're speaking to a lot of people who are in the same circles, and you start to realize how small the ecosystem is.
Dude, everyone knows everyone. So yeah. Will, this is hilarious. Will, before Reuben had seen the post that I'd made seen the post we made on the 10-day recap, and the fella from Borbos, who was so kind enough to message you and offer us his space, his podcast space, is Will's brother-in-law. And Will messaged me, he was like, mate, what? And I was like, oh yeah, how nice. Like, this guy was just so kind to offer. And he was like, oh, that's my brother-in-law.
So weird.
So crazy.
Should we talk about H?
Yes.
H company.
Yeah. Let's get in there. I mean, we got a little bit in, but like, I guess, high level story. H company raised, I guess it's France's largest seed round. I don't know if it must be the largest in the world. I don't know. I need to check if it's the largest in the world. 220 million euros is just insane. That was in 2024. Sort of ex-Google DeepMind founders building like agentic AI. So and these guys were overhyped as well. Like not the round was hyped. I mean, like oversubscribed. It was hyped. Everybody wanted to get in, but within 14 months, it seems that 4 of the 5 co-founders have left. Investors are saying, the vision isn't super clear, and I think they're on their 3rd CEO. All in the space of a year.
Yeah, I think it's 60% of there are 5 founders.
5 founders.
3 of them had left within 3 months.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Pretty mad.
You'd think that it's hard to know, but you'd think that when you look at people who are all ex DeepMind, that they've come together to create a company.
They're going to be locked in, right?
Yeah, they'd be aligned. That you would have like tested the dynamics. You would have like some clear visibility, and it's interesting because I think they launched without a really clear. It wasn't immediately clear what they were going to build.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the same thing with the ex OpenAI CTO who just raised 2 billion on a 10 billion valuation.
Which the Thinking Machines.
Thinking Labs, right? Is it Thinking Labs?
Thinking Machines,
Thinking
I think.
Machines.
Yeah.
And it's similar. It's like what are they building?
Well, this is the thing, right? You look at, I think Ilya came out and did like Safe Superintelligence.
Yeah.
That was, I think, raised a bill or something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy, like every single number starts like we're talking B's here. We're not talking M's. Like,
yeah.
Which is just insane. These are seed pre-product, pre-seed, like pre-idea, pre-team, pre-revenue.
Yeah.
But like they kind of like that. People want to do it.
Yeah.
So that's fine, I guess.
But it's interesting because in this case, right, H company, people left because there wasn't a clear vision. There was operational differences. It's like, is this what happens when you raise a huge round?
Well, this is what it was suicide round.
Without any validation or traction, or without actually having a super clear idea of what it is you're going to build or the problem that you're going to solve.
Yeah. And that many, I guess, there's a lot of minds going at it there in leadership positions, which is, that's a lot of co-founders. But I think that space is super, super, super hard. Right? It's so new that no one really knows how to, like, and I'm, speaking from a completely non-technical position.
Yeah.
How do you market that? Where are the pain points? Who are the customers? Who are, like, no one knows these things yet. Like when, they have a few like products that they started to release slowly. Runner H was their main one, which was like essentially Runner H was their main one. It might have changed now to Surf H, but their web browsing agent was the main one, right? This is a lot of stuff we were doing at Convergence. From a GTM perspective, it's like, okay, so we're building a horizontal agent that's industry agnostic and seniority agnostic and department agnostic. So it's like, okay, so we're doing
everything for everyone.
It's everything all at once. And like, it is hard. Like, it is super, super hard, but it's, I think, to be fair to them, I think you do need to raise large sums of money to be able to
invest.
Well, to just to crack that code. Obviously, things haven't gone the way they want. I know the new CEO is ex-Palantir, but like, you look at, like, I think Amazon was an investor as well. That would just tee up, like, from the GTM side, like any enterprise contracts or design partners.
Yeah.
Like,
If you can prove that what you've built works and is valuable, you can immediately sell to those investors.
Yeah, 100.
Hello,
Hey,
Eric.
Hello.
How are we doing, Eric?
Yeah, it's going well. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for joining us. You're our last guest of the day. We've had a lot of great guests. We're super excited for this one. But before we jump into it, like, we've done our research. We know what it is that you guys do. But could you give us just like the 1-minute pitch into Encord?
Sure. So thanks for having me. I'm Eric, one of the co-founders and CEO of Encord. Encord is a data development platform. So we work with AI teams in every use case and vertical, in healthcare, retail, agriculture, autonomous vehicles, robotics, foundation models. If you've seen it, if you can name it, we have seen it and worked with it in some capacity. So we help these companies manage, curate, annotate, and evaluate their data at scale. We came out of Y Combinator in 2021, and since then have raised about $50 million. We're based in London and San Francisco.
Amazing. And there's lots of things that we want to get into, but I think maybe first off, can we talk about YC? You went through 2021, and I saw when you raised your Series B that you were the earliest company from your batch to raise a Series B. You were also very early, relatively, on AI. Now we look at YC, it looks like 70 or 80% of companies are AI companies. What was that like back then? How many other AI companies were you going through YC with?
Yeah, we were the fastest AI company in YC to raise a Series B. We were. I remember at the time there weren't as many AI companies. Definitely not as many as now. And during our seed round, we were competing against a lot of like crypto startups and companies in Web3, and that was the milieu at the time. But YC for us was super useful, very helpful. It's on one side, it's a really good network. You have a lot of other YC companies that you can sell to, so it's a warm market that you can start with, especially when you're in the seed stage and kind of ramping up your go-to-market. And then it's really nice mentorship as well. So we still are in touch with our YC partners. We were both first-time founders, my co-founder and I. And we, when you're a first-time founder, you have a lot of silly intuitions about things and a lot of bad ideas. And it's good to just have someone tell you directly, don't do that. That is a bad idea. And that's that kind of candid feedback was super valuable for us in YC. So I recommend, especially first-time founders, to go through if they can. I think the fact that so many companies are AI companies now is just is like a function of most startups are AI companies, and YC just reflects the composition of the startups in the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about you went to YC in San Francisco, but you seem to be headquartered both split across London and San Francisco. Like, what was the pull back to London?
So we started in London originally. My co-founder and I were both living here. We started building a team here, and we moved to San Francisco because that's where most of the market for AI is. So right now we have a split. Most of the product engineering is here, and go-to-market is split between London and San Francisco, and we're seeing a lot of growth in the San Francisco side of things. And I think generally it's like a pretty good setup to have a lot of the tech team in Europe and the go-to-market team in the US. US is normally what you're selling to, especially in the AI ecosystem, but Europe, there's a lot of good talent as well, and there's less competition for that talent compared to San Francisco.
Yeah, we had Martin Mignot from Index Ventures on earlier. They've just released their book about like scaling, growing to the US, and that's exactly the model that he was talking about. You build your product and engineering team here in Europe, where, as you say, it's like cheaper talent but still good quality. But GTM is in the US. I also want to talk about some of your customers. I was having a look on the website, doing research, and you kind of touched on it earlier. You've got customers in every single industry. You're working with some of the most innovative tech companies across the world, people like Synthesia. How are you how are you able to get those customers? How is the sales process working that you can get some of the coolest names in the market?
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I knew. I wish I could articulate it in a succinct, formulaic way. It always feels like some bit of magic. So our go-to-market is split between inbound and outbound. So a lot of the customers just find us. They find us through various channels. We've been around for a bit, so some people just know us. It could be in events, it could be online through one of our blogs or one of our lunches, and then we have an outbound team as well. So we know the accounts that are interesting, that are doing interesting AI work, and we have a very strong BD team that goes and reaches out to these companies, makes them aware of what we're doing, and sets up meetings. But it always feels like some kind of alchemy to get to any particular customer, and it's always like a story or not, or like ping this email, then that email, and then they met you for dinner and all these things. But it's really just a kind of if you boil it down, it's a split between inbound and outbound.
Yeah. Okay. And how much of the work that you're doing with your clients, because I know it's like a lot of working with their data, cleaning it up, getting it ready. How hands-on is that versus is it the software itself that is able to go in and sort and manage through their data, or is it do they need a bit of hand-holding?
So we provide the tools to go and make sense of their data to make it ready for AI, and the teams that we work with tend to be quite sophisticated already. So we work mostly with companies that have models in production, so have been doing this for years already. Synthesia is a great example, and so roughly know what they're doing. Often are coming from internally built tools over to us for scalability. And so it doesn't require as much handholding. What we're seeing now, especially in the last few years as AI has really taken off, is that there are a lot more people that are curious about the space and require a little bit more education. We don't serve that part of the market as much, but we're seeing it more and more. And we're always happy to kind of discuss the best practices and what we've seen before, because now we've seen thousands of these different projects. We know what works, what doesn't work, and we are there to advise as well.
I just to jump in there before we had Will Caplan on earlier today, who was actually one of your growth managers at Encord. Will's now building Tano. I'm sure you've been in touch. We asked Will what would be a good question to ask you, and Will gave us a little anecdote about somewhere around 2017 when you were using GPT then to build either a friend's wedding speech or something. Like, that's kind of early when we think about it. Like, what?
Yeah, that's funny. He picked that. So I was the best man at my college roommate's wedding. We both went to Stanford, so I was in Silicon Valley. This was 2018 or 2019. And I was, I've been in kind of AI machine learning for some time. I was aware of I think it was GPT-2 at the time, the models, and I thought it was quite interesting. So I decided as like a gimmick for the wedding speech to go in and throw a bunch of wedding speeches as training data for this model and like give it context, and then just output what came out. And of course, at the time, it played really well for laughs because it was kind of a nonsensical speech. It started off okay, and then it went off the rails really quickly. So it was more for like this comical gimmick. But if you do that today, I'm sure most people do that today now, actually, in their their legit speeches. So it just shows the progress that's been made in the technology in really just the last 5 years or so. But yeah, I've kind of been following it for some time, and it's really funny to see it move from a thing that is an amusement to something which is kind of core to people's everyday lives and workflows.
Yeah, and actually both Will and I spoke to Leo in advance of the call, and I said to Leo, who's working with you now, what should we ask Eric? And both Will and Leo said a very similar thing, that you are often making correct predictions about the direction in which AI is moving, right? That you're somebody who is really attuned to the industry, to the technology, and to the way things are going. So we want to ask, what are your predictions for AI? As it's moved from something gimmicky to something that is integral, what's it going to be like in 3 to 5 years, do you think?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I really feel like that it's almost a fool's game to predict too much in AI because it moves so quickly and it's so chaotic and stochastic in nature, especially in the timescale of years. You can maybe predict in weeks, maybe months if you're really lucky. But I think the thing is, what I like to do is just talk to people that are really smart and at the forefront of the space and learn from them and kind of incorporate that information. And so the latest conversations that my co-founder and I have had in the space with a lot of people that were early in OpenAI or kind of senior in OpenAI, and like, what are they looking at? What are they thinking about for the future? And something that's come up repeatedly is that the Chat GPT moment for physical AI hasn't happened yet, but it will happen. And so a lot of these previously senior leaders have been leaving to go start robotics companies or physical AI companies, and having these models actually start to understand the world around it, like the physical space. That will be a huge step change in how we actually interact with AI. Right now, AI for most people is a chat box where you go in, like, type a thing and talk to it as your therapist. But imagine it's actually in front of you in the real world. That will completely change how we interact with these systems, how we think about them. So I think that's something which I'm quite interested to see how it develops. And if a lot of smart people are betting on it, then I do think that there's going to be a significant amount of progress in the space in a fairly short amount of time.
What would that change for Encord?
For us, it's just kind of a continuation of our core principles and like the invariance that we have. So the way that we think about this, like, what will be the same no matter what happens, no matter what trajectory of the world it kind of follows. And a few things, like, one is models will continuously get better. So they are the worst that they'll ever be. That's almost always true. The second is the models really need data to be able to do the right thing, to be specified on the right problems. Humans require continuous input of data. Obviously, I'm talking to you now. You're hearing my voice. You're seeing me. That input of data is affecting how you're kind of interpreting what's going on, your own kind of physical model of the world. And so as these models start to occupy not just in online spaces, but in 3D physical space, the data will proliferate very, very rapidly. And so the need for tools like us will continue to grow, because what we do is we try to make sense of all that unstructured multimodal data and make it such that AI systems can actually use it and learn from it. So for us, it's just kind of a continuation of what we think will happen. But of course, like, the manifestation of how it actually inputs the data and the formats and things, those will continuously evolve.
And on that future, this sort of, we've not had our physical AI moment. What does that look like? Is it like the big model providers they start building their own sort of robotics, or is that a partnership with Figure AI? Like, is this going to see this sort of all these worlds, these like not small, but separate incumbents that are on the fringes of the spaces kind of coming together to form one super company, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of capital expenditure to get something right, especially because there's, hardware is hard and it's expensive. So yeah, companies at the forefront of this, companies like Figure AI, as you mentioned, 1X, Physical Intelligence. But it'll be those companies actually starting to deploy their robotics in the real world and starting to have those use cases actually manifest. But it could be some things that are even subtler than that. So why did OpenAI pay $6.5 billion for Johnny Ive's company? Well, why do you think that they did it? Maybe asking you guys, what's your hypothesis?
To build hardware, right? To get his design skills, to build something out there in the real world, to turn the, like you say, chatbot to something that you can hold in your hand potentially.
Yeah, exactly. So it's to get AI into your physical space and to get the data of how people use AI in the physical world. And now there's some rumors that it'll start as like a pen that will kind of record ambient noise, and maybe like as you're writing with it, it'll record like what you're actually writing in your handwriting. But that is the first entry into OpenAI getting into, like, from the chat box into 3D space. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, that makes total sense. They're doing it so that they can get the data for the stuff, and they start to you'll be surrounded by AI again, not just online, but in your everyday life. And I think that's what's coming.
So you think it's OpenAI that's going to own that whole like physical meets what we've had before?
Well, a lot of people will make a go at it. Obviously, OpenAI, they haven't been tried and tested so much in the hardware space. I think these things have unexpected complications and difficulties that maybe they're factoring in, maybe they're not. I think that they do have a good shot at it because they already have such distribution and the brand name, and Johnny Ive obviously is very formidable as someone that's going to be building a hardware device. But we shouldn't write off Apple. We shouldn't write off Google. We shouldn't write off all of the robotics players that are already in the space, have been working on these things for years. A lot of people entered in the market, similar to the foundation model world, where there's all these providers have tried. Now 3 or 4 have come up on top. We'll see a similar dynamic, I expect. And then 3 or 4, maybe including AI, OpenAI, maybe not, will be the ones that are bringing AI to the everyday world.
And it seems like we're seeing more and more acquisitions by some of these players that are coming out on top. One of the things that we wanted to talk to you about was Scale AI, the Meta 49% acquisition. Scale AI seemed to be playing in a similar space to Encord in the sense that it's about training data. How closely would you have seen them as a competitor?
Yeah, it's a competitor-ish. They're more on the services side. We're more on the software tooling side. So we have come up against Scale in some deals for the tooling side. I don't think we've actually ever lost a deal to Scale, but obviously they built a very impressive operational machine that is able to mobilize hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions of people, for AI training data. So that is extremely impressive. They've been able to build like a really, really strong company around it. I think the acquisition is so for us, obviously it's good, right? Because now Alexander Wang is normally not someone that you would want to be competing with, and now he's going to Meta. But I think even more than that, for us, it's just a signal to the market, because what Mark Zuckerberg realized is that, hey, all these labs are like competing for talent, and they're competing to pay as much in NVIDIA GPUs as possible. But what if I take the data layer? What if I actually go and try to scoop that away from my competitors? And that was a brilliant move. And now, everyone's kind of turning their head up and like, oh, shoot, the data layer. That's also something that we need to shore up and we need to defend if we want to continue building these models at the frontier. And that's what we do. So for us, it's like a very interesting validation of the work that we've been doing for the last several years.
What does the future there look like if you're in the space? People start knocking on your door. Are you going to answer it?
It depends who's knocking.
You raised your big Series B last year. How have you been spending that? Has that been kind of bolstering up your US expansion? Has that been just hiring some of the best talent? What have you been spending it on? And how long do you think you have until you're looking to raise again?
We haven't spent the money actually yet. So we haven't touched any of our Series B money. So we've been, I think we've been doing pretty well from a cash perspective. And there's no immediate plans for another raise, but obviously the market is heating up, and we're always thinking opportunistically as well.
Yeah, nice. And how did you find that fundraise? Because I know that I think a lot of the people that backed you were US based. How did you find it kind of pitching to US investors versus European investors? Did you see a big difference in the reaction, the speed, anything like that?
Oh yeah, there's a huge difference. My co-founder actually wrote a blog post back when we did our seed round where this difference was even more stark about pitching to US VCs versus pitching to European VCs. So I definitely recommend checking that out. I would say like the difference is in like the where they derive conviction from more than anything. So US VCs, they tend to derive conviction from the team and the vision. And European VCs, they derive conviction from the market and the metrics. And that was true even at a seed round where it probably doesn't make sense to be thinking so much about market and metrics. I remember we had some European VCs ask us for like a business plan and like, show us like your financial projections for the next 3 years. And we're like, dude, we're a seed stage company. Like we're not going to do that. And it's a lot of the DNA of ex private equity people, ex investment bankers, and they just don't have that mentality of what it takes to grow a big tech company. So we had a lot more success with the American VCs, both in the seed round and in the Series B. But as we continue to grow and as you get into growth stage, they kind of converge and it just becomes more of a metric driven decision anyway. So I expect in Series C, it'll kind of be the same.
Yeah. And actually that mirrors what Martin was saying, or what Index say in their book, that the risk appetite in Europe, especially at seed, is so much lower.
I find that weird, right? Because obviously at growth stage, yes, it's going to be like very, very, very statistical and metrics driven, right? You can be good at maths, you can model it all out. Obviously there's a lot more to it than that, but it plays a big part in it. The seed stage, surely, like if you're not moving quick, surely you're just behind. Like surely you're missing out on everything.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of why so few European VCs have been successful in the US.
Because they just can't keep up.
They just can't keep up.
And it comes from like, who are they actually hiring? Who are the people in the fund? There are people that were working at, I don't know, Goldman, or they're working at a private equity fund. So their mental model of the world is, let me put this in a spreadsheet. So even if you put them in front of a seed stage company, they wouldn't know what to do, how to evaluate it. And the American VC ecosystem is just much more mature. It's been around like many more cycles and has seen what has worked and what hasn't. And it also hires a lot more from operators and startups. So people kind of know how the sausage is made, and they can use that in like properly, thinking about, what companies are going to work and which aren't.
Yeah, I've heard that from VC partners who are ex-founders in Europe, that they're trying to actively hire more ex-operators, ex-founders, as opposed to the ex-consultants, ex-BCG, ex-Goldman. Eric, we're kind of out of time, but I'd like to ask one final question. What do you think the UK and Europe needs, or UK and European tech needs, to take it to the next level?
Right. So I think the foundational ingredients of a tech ecosystem are talent, capital, and market appetite. And the thing that Europe and the UK do really, really well is they have an excellent talent pool. So there's great universities here. There's a lot of smart people flocking to Paris and to London. Really, really good AI engineers, AI researchers, software engineers, et cetera. So the talent pool is there. That's done. And the capital is also, it's catching up, right? A lot of the Americans have come into Europe. They're lighting fires under the old European VCs, and we're starting to see the shifts in the dynamics of this kind of European and American VC dichotomy. I think the thing that really needs to catch up is actually the market and the kind of procurement culture, because here it's just way too slow, way too risk averse, versus selling into the US. Like, people are like, oh, AI, that's cool. Let me try it. And they're much more willing to experiment and to move quickly. And that's why a lot of companies, they start building their teams here, and then they move to the US, us included, because that's where you can sell. So until that kind of procurement culture has adapted, I think the US will be a magnet for a lot of companies, even if they're founded in Europe or elsewhere.
Yeah, interesting. That's not something that we hear that often, actually. We always hear capital, but those market dynamics are really interesting. Thank you, Eric, so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you. But yeah, let's stay in touch, and best of luck with building anything. And if you've got announcements, news, you know where to come.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Cheers, man.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. That's interesting. I mean, the some new takes there on, like, I don't think we'd heard. I think the talent thing is really cool. I think I agree with him there. He mentioned they're in up for the VC thing, like, as a part of an issue. You know, who are the people?
Yeah.
You know, BCG. Like, oh look, no one ever got fired for hiring someone from BCG or Goldman or to come into. And, like, I think a lot of it is dominated. I mean, it's such a hyped role, isn't it? Like, everyone, you know, every young person would love to be in venture capital. It's probably like what an investment banker on Wall Street was in the 80s, right?
Know, when I spent the first few years of my career as a strategy consultant, everybody wanted to use that to get into VC. Yeah. That was the career path. It's like, how can I leverage this? How can I do other things to kind of use this as a launch pad? But I think it's changing.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, when I think of it, like, I can't really think of anyone that I know who's, you know, entry level or associate level or analyst level that did operating first and then went to VC. They've come in from Goldman or BCG, or, you know, whatever. But the partners, like, they're either veterans of the game, which is, you know, fair enough, or they have, like, they've operated, they've exited, then they've gone to the other side. Just on the last thing you mentioned, speed. One of the deep dives topics, the EU AI Act, Europe's ambitions to regulate artificial intelligence. Just so, you know, even saying that out loud, it seems like how does that work? There's been a bit of backlash recently. So just high level, the EU AI Act is the first comprehensive legal framework for artificial intelligence passed by the EU. This is in 2024. It's been slowly rolled out, obviously. Even in the deployment, we're taking our sweet time. And it's basically like a risk-based approach, like categorizing different AI systems into different risk levels, and then applying like a correspondingly like level of strictness in terms of a requirement of what one should and what one shouldn't do. I was looking through it the other night, and I think it's needed for some areas. Don't get me wrong, like, we don't want anything crazy to happen, but like some of the stuff is just like, there's like, they have like immediate ban here, strict requirement here, for all these models, like, like we have to go through this level of testing, this level of model evaluation. You have to prove this, you have to prove that. And it's like, no wonder that these guys are getting some pushback. Like, there was a sort of article or a sort of, you know, a piece in Sifted the other day that, Anton from Lovable, he's chipping in. He's signed it. Harry, 20 VC, he's signed this thing as well. Friedrich Helm, the Voice CEO, Synthesia CEO and COO, Deal CEO, like absolute lineup there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic case where you've got political leaders in such a different mindset and view of the technology compared to the people who are actually building and running the technology. You know, it will just come down to how ready the politicians are to listen to the builders and the founders.
It's crazy, but like that the lag is there. Don't get me wrong. Like, even as someone who wasn't really in the AI space before, working at Convergence, like, and learning as much as someone who is non-technical can learn from just being around technical people. Like, once you kind of got a look on the inside, you realize just how fast the space is moving. Like, it is insane, and it's only speeding up. So like,
how can you regulate for this?
How can you regulate for this? Like, it doesn't really work. And like, if you do regulate it, and I think one of the wordings that these guys were using was like stop the clock type thing. Like, can we just chill for 5?
Yeah.
Look at where we're at. Look at like where should we be focusing on, or we're just going to fall behind. And it's like, these people don't know how to adhere to rules that they don't know exist, because they're still rolling this out slowly. And they're like, you let me.
The technology's not there yet, really.
Let me get back to you. And we're all European, so it's going to take us 3 weeks to get back to the email, and we'll probably be in the south of France anyway.
Yeah.
But look, is that our deep dive for today? Are we? Those are all our guests.
Yeah, I think let's. Thank you for joining us.
That's the show.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. See you on Ep 4.